guilty of crime.
Well, I'm back and I'm a few minutes early. I'm Jay with Guilty of Crime, and we know breaking news. Is Nancy Guthrie alive? Ransom notes, family links, and red herrings in this case. We're going to go over all that today. And of course, I know we got Brian Etten. We're following. Brian Etten says Pima Sheriff says they're following up on the new leads and they can expect to see an active law enforcement presence at the Guthrie's residence. So far, he's out there, hasn't noticed anything. I'm going back and forth between JLR and Dolly. We know who's live streaming, so come on in, guys. Nobody has to say, go to this channel. Only the mods, or if it's really, really important, but I'm trying to keep it streaming on my channel. And boy, do I have lots of tea for you today. Besides what's new in the case, guys, there's a lot new actually in the case, and there's a lot of connections that people aren't talking about. And you know what? On the theory of a prime suspect, you know, she's still going. So I don't know if you saw any of that. I don't know if any of you guys have been paying attention to Ashley Banfield and her saying that the prime suspect is Tommaso Cioni, right? And people are, the family saying, we're going to sue her, and just throwing a bunch of ruckus chaos, guys. But there's something valid to that. We're going to watch everything going on. We're going to see the breaking news, but we're also going to talk about the latest updates. We're going to talk about that manhole situation. And guys, I got to tell you, I don't believe in coincidences in true crime. And when I saw the arrest, because there was an arrest, there was an actual arrest, in fact, regarding the ransom note. And what bothers me about that so much is that, again, I don't believe in coincidences. And I know you guys know that there was a Savannah Guthrie's sister and brother-in-law. They received a ransom text from an imposter. Now, this is real news right here. And what I got to tell you, first of all, come on in, guys. Hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't. Get a membership if you can. We've got a goal up. Buy me a coffee. Guilty of Crime for CrimeCon 2026. But before we get to anything, I want to make sure the mods, I got you on mod chat. Please address me on mod chat and not on chat. I don't need everyone to see what we're talking about in chat. Okay, so please send me a text, mods, if you need me. Okay, is Nancy Guthrie alive? We're going to talk about that. They're going to address that. I think the 50% says yes and 50% says no. All right. Ransom notes, we're going to obviously talk about that. Family links is what I'm talking about right now. And if you don't know what a red herring is in the case, a red herring is something to throw you way off. So investigators will tell you, oh yeah, I saw a black guy walking outside on Wednesday. Somebody told me that maybe it was a black guy that broke into but really that's not the truth at all. Law enforcement, let's say they saw a camera and it was actually a short Asian guy They put out that false information to make sure that the person's not running and to make sure the narrative is not shifting in the proper way so they can do their investigation. And of course, I hope we find out either way. And the reason I'm jumping into it now is because I know you guys are going to say, go, they're on the live, jump. But I have to tell you that there's important connections in this case that are not coincidental. Now, Ashley Banfield stands on it. She stands on it that her source is credible and that they are, in fact, looking at Savannah Guthrie's sister and brother-in-law. Okay. So, yeah, we'll put this up there because I absolutely believe red herring. And again, this episode is for entertainment purposes only, and it's all in my opinion. Nothing that I say is a fact. We're all speculating. Okay. However, in episode 1, I got 112,000 people watching my video about the potential suspect or person of interest being the son-in-law, Tommaso. Okay. And when that happened, that everyone was like, whoa, wait, he didn't say that. Ashley says, I still believe that. And then not even a couple days later, a day maybe, I'm going to get to the time frame too, because the timeline has also changed. All right. Which is wild. We have a bit different of a timeline. And then we have people that are talking, sending messages and going on X, telling people that Annie's weird. Hi, friend. I'm loving your coverage on the Nancy Guthrie case. My husband went to high school with Annie in Savannah. And when this whole thing first started, the first thing her husband said was, Annie did it. She's a whack job, even back then. This is, in my opinion, from a girl he knew 40 years ago, but crazy is crazy. Can you imagine if it's either actually her? Either way, my heart breaks for them, okay? So I'm going to jump on and show you that, and then I'm going to jump off, show you a bit of the timeline. Kathy, thank you so much for the Guilty of Crime membership. Choo, choo. Now, the connections. I'll go back to all this. The timelines have changed drastically, and when I can get into the report, I will. However, not only did I find this connection, but I found the connection on X of what I believe to be her husband saying these things about the family. And they're not the only ones. They are not the only ones saying this stuff about the family. So let's, I don't know why I have two of them. I have Brian Etten on here ready to go. I want you to know that. So at any time I can go on here. He still hasn't said anything 12 minutes ago. What I am going to do is drop that down so I can go on to the person that husband said this. All right, so here's the guy, David J. Texaco. I found this mofo digging through all the shit here. Breaking news where someone said Nancy Guthrie is no longer alive. That's not true. Steve Norris 2 days ago said Nancy Guthrie is dead. Latest message is fake breaking news. That's not true. Now I go into the messages and I find, and what do I find? David Texaco. We went to high school together. Annie Guthrie was goth and a drug user. She was weird, and that was 40 years ago. The 3 Guthrie kids grew up in Nancy's house, meet with me down the road. I knew instantly this was someone who knew the house and the neighborhood. Okay, so I'm going to pop off the show with those things, and then I'm going to, before I have to jump to a live stream and be bored to death watching almost absolutely nothing, I'm going to hop back onto this and tell you that there's no coincidences. Tommaso Cioni was the last person to see Nancy Guthrie alive. Did she ever make it home, or was that staged? Now listen, how in the hell, listen guys, you guys know I don't believe in coincidence, but you tell me, how in the F does an 84-year-old go missing? Suspects get blamed because of seeing her for the last time. And then all of a sudden, this imposter guy gets their text message numbers. They get the actual physical Tommaso and Annie, their literal text message, and they demand money from them. That's not right, guys. something is way off about that. That's wrong, wrong, wrong. Yeah, where's the Uber driver? We're going to get to all that. But listen, I'm going to read this article because you have to make this make sense. Okay? Savannah. Okay, U.S. Weekly revealed that Savannah Guthrie's brother-in-law, Tommaso Cioni, and Anna Guthrie were in fact the ones who received the imposter ransom text messages demanding money for the return of Nancy. Did you get the Bitcoin? We're sick of waiting on our end for the translation. Read one of the text messages. All right, now these people. I don't want the music because I was going to read it to you, but I don't think you can turn it off. So take a look yourself. Now, I mean, are you seeing what they're saying? This is tied to them. We get a person of interest and then a second person and lots of body analysis, and the fake kidnapper goes directly to the last person that saw her alive. And then right after this happens, they go back to the house and search it late into the night to what is speculated to be luminol, when in fact I don't think it is luminol, and I'll tell you later. Now, that was the person, Kalela, some weird-looking mofo from Hawthorne, California, was in fact arrested and charged. But why in the F would you send those to a son-in-law and a sister that has absolutely nothing? Why wouldn't they go to the media? Why wouldn't they go directly to Savannah Guthrie that can pull out her pocketbook and pay any freaking amount she wants right now? And there's no sense of urgency with those two. Again, we're just speculating. I said that. It says it in my intro, it says it in my outro, and it says it in my description. I'm speculating along with reading real live news. All right. Annie Guthrie and husband Tommaso Cioni were the ones who received imposter Derek Kalela's ransom text after Nancy Guthrie went missing. Everything you need to know at the link in bio, which I'm going to get to. During a press conference on Thursday the 5th, Pima County, Chris Nanos, an FBI specialist in charge, Keith Jenke, revealed there had been an imposter who was arrested in the case. Now, when I saw that, I said, that's BS. It's BS. It's some idiot trying to make money off of it. And then I started digging deeper. And you know what I found? That person that did a fake ransom note was trying to collect from the prime suspect, allegedly, and Nancy's daughter, Annie. How do you figure? Again, we're going to get into red herrings because there's a lot of red herrings, okay? Now, I also believe there's either a third or a fourth person involved. Holly says, Jay, you're so kind of, it feels like they're all three in on it like a plot. I don't think that Savannah is. However, I do believe that there's another person or people involved, and they use this as a distraction to get money and then to get more money, because is there actually a proof of life? Hopefully we'll find out today. Now listen, the imposter is also hooked up to the brother-in-law, and I'm speculating here. I watched a video earlier that says that, and I did look up Tommaso extensively, and guess what? He likes to gamble. And guess what? He likes to gamble, and his friend that asked for a ransom lived in Los Angeles. Guess what's between Utah or Arizona and Los Angeles? Las Vegas. So what if Tommaso, I'm speculating, what if Tommaso has debts that he needs to pay off, and these people are getting impatient because they're not moving fast enough? Okay, again, this is just a speculation. The ransom keeps going up. How in the fuck, and excuse my language, I'm trying not to cuss, how in the frick is there going to be a fake random note that is not fake or random, and they're connected to the people of interest. I'm just going to ask you that, and then I'll leave it alone because I don't want to miss anything, and I've got a lot to go over today. I've also got Nancy Guthrie's Instagram, which has all of her videos. We don't need to dig anywhere. We're going to do that. All right. Now, look, that guy was arrested. It's later shared that day that Derek Colella, 42, was arrested after his attempt to profit from Savannah's devastating online plea to her mom's captor. During the Instagram video, and I'm not going to even talk about that, we're going to show it. All right. Her health, her heart, it's fragile. We also know that law enforcement and FBI help write these letters to kidnappers because they're experts and they know what to say. So people keep saying it's weird. It's really not weird. FBI is certainly, law enforcement and FBI are coaching them on the things to say, I assure you, in my opinion. Now, once Colella was charged with transmitting a demand for ransom, interstate commerce without disclosing his identity, and using telecommunications device with intent to abuse, threaten, or harass, per Arizona District Office. There's her missing person sign. Okay, we need to find her. She needs help. Press conference, they tell us that there has not been a prime suspect, however, admitted that Savannah's brother-in-law has not been ruled out as a suspect. Everybody's still a suspect. Again, red herrings. All right. It would be irresponsible if we didn't talk to everyone. Tomaso's name was incriminated by former News Nation Ashley Banfield. I'm going to make sure I'm not missing anything. All right. That spun out of control. Banfield went on 15 stations. It got onto mine. It got to you. And now we see the connections between Tomaso, Annie, and this knucklehead that gave a fake ransom note. I think it wasn't fake. I think Tomaso and Annie knew that they were being watched, and they are. This is not in my opinion. This is that law enforcement has been in their house several times late in the night to what's speculating, spraying luminol at night and taking pictures of evidence. Evidence for what? I think they panicked. And when they got those text messages and the people they're working with said, we need our money, dude, what the fuck? They went directly to their phone number. It scared Tomaso and Annie, and they said, oh, we think it's fake. Look at this message. They weren't supposed to use their direct numbers. Never do that. Now, before Nancy was reported on February 1st, Tomaso was the last person to see her after dropping her off at home in the Catalina Foothills following dinner and board games. Now, as the search continued, police have reason to believe Nancy may not be far from home. That's based on the 2 deadlines in the ransom note sent to the office, separate text from an imposter, and that whoever abducted Nancy would likely have transported her by car rather than plane after they left her government ID behind. Okay, so there's a lot in here, but I really wanted to make that connection with you guys before we ever got this started. Okay, so let's get to it. Missing person, Nancy Guthrie. As soon as there's breaking news, I will hop onto it. But I think what I have to say right now is very, very important. And it could be triggering as well. All right. So we're going to pull this down. And I'm going to show you the latest video. I'm not going to break it down right now because I don't want to miss anything. But this is Savannah Guthrie's official Instagram. And oh, look at that. On her Instagram, she's got all of her shit. She's got her brother, she's got her, she's got their initial one, and this is her latest. No need to dig for it. It's right on her page. She has nothing to hide. She wants her mom back. She's willing to pay for it, but something's not adding up with Annie. Something's not adding up with Tomaso. This guy's just who he is. Let's listen to what she has to say, and then we'll continue. Let me get the volume.
There, everybody. I wanted to come on and just share a few thoughts as we enter into another week.
Nobody's mentioned Tomaso since we heard about the arrest. Nobody's seen him out there. Annie's been the whole face of it. Okay. So of course they didn't bring up Tommaso, and law enforcement is being quiet on purpose. Did you hear the Annie Challenger story? And that's another thing. She doesn't even go to church. Annie changed the story. Nobody from church called the family. I'm still getting to that timeline, my friend, because guess what? Nancy Guthrie never went into church for the longest time. She wasn't mobile. And you want to know something else, Carol and the whole crew? They didn't know when she was on there either. Breaking news. And this is not allegedly. The people from church said, let me make this important to you. People from church said there's no way for them to have known that that Nancy Guthrie was not attending church that morning, because she attended it via a Zoom call where they weren't tracking the people who were on there. It was a one-sided freaking stream, and you can't tell who's where. It's like me streaming you guys. I can only tell who's talking to me in chat, but I cannot tell that there may be a Bob Smith behind the scenes. I can't say, guys, let's call 911. Bob Smith is missing. He didn't show up to my stream today. Go get a wellness check. Hurry. None of that happened. That's also a lie. So I ask you, how did they know that she was missing within a freaking hour of her never going to church anyway, as it is? Mic drop. Now let's listen to her. I'm furious by this, and I just can't understand. I think it's going to move faster today.
Of this nightmare. I just want to say, first of all, thank you so much for all of the prayers and the love that we have felt, my sister and brother and I, and that our mom has felt.
And again, we're going to listen to these just as we move through the episode so you can see everything at once. And of course, we'll get to the breakdown. But the most important thing is when the breaking news comes, we're going to hop all over that. But this is all new information that I put together today. All right. I've done my research, my friends. Hit that like button.
Because we believe that somehow, some way, she is feeling these prayers, and that God is lifting her even in this moment and in this darkest place. We believe our mom is still out there. We need your help. Law enforcement is working tirelessly around the clock, trying to bring her home, trying to find her. She was taken and we don't know where. And we need your help. So I'm coming on just to ask you, not just for your prayers, but no matter where you are, even if you're far from Tucson, if you see anything, if you hear anything, if there's anything at all that seems strange to you, that you report to law enforcement. We are at an hour of desperation.
And you know why they say an hour of desperation, because the deadline was supposed to be 7 p.m. And that's okay. Everyone's cool to disagree. You got to love when there's almost 800 people in chat and someone comes in and says, I disagree with Jay. Well, let's hear what you disagree about so we can get more information. Let's go. I'm excited for that. All right. What has changed? What do you mean? All right, let's keep going. This is a new video that just came out.
And we need your help.
All right, so there's that. That was today's. This was the one from the day before that, and we never watched the brother together. So let's take a look real quick. Let's watch both of them.
We received your message, and we understand. We beg you now.
I also want you to pay attention to the way Annie looks, her breathing, and the way they're holding hands. I got a whole screenshot and a whole conspiracy theory of how they're holding hands. Like, people are saying that that Savannah is disgusted by her sister, and she in her head is thinking that Tommaso had something to do with it as well. So her body language has shifted significantly, and she's barely holding the hand. And that's why she's pleading, guys, in the latest video all by herself, because something's not adding up with Annie, and they're not mentioning Tommaso and her weird smile. Yeah, come on in, guys. We have 826 people. If you disagree with me about something, please let me know. Come on in. We're very, very, very open. I love agreeing to disagree about stuff. It makes me learn more. So let us know. All right, let's keep going.
To return our mother to us so that we can celebrate with her.
It's like she's trying to
This
make
is the
us.
only way we will have peace. This is very valuable to us, and we will pay. We received your message.
Okay, so that's it. That's Watch a Brother. We didn't watch a brother together.
This is Cameron Guthrie. I'm speaking for the Guthrie family. Whoever is out there holding our mother, we want to hear from you. We haven't heard anything directly. We need you to reach out, and we need a way to communicate with you so we can move forward. But first, we have to know that you have...
Yeah, because people keep saying, and I just want to debunk the junk, guys. The reason they're verbal, their language and their reading is because they are reading and they were told to write this down. And I'm listening to hostage negotiators saying, yes, they're going to write down a statement that appeals to. It's like when you do a title for YouTube, you want your SEO to be proper. So the SEO picks up on the algorithm. That's what they're doing. Okay. And you guys let me know in chat if I got to hop over to the live or what. All right. The Chris guy's been time. Okay. All right. But I'm also, yeah. Well, you guys don't have to time people out if they don't agree or disagree. But if they start talking stuff, yeah, then just give them a warning. All right. And thank you. I appreciate you. I can't keep, there's almost 1,000 people in here, guys. Okay. So they are reading. It's not weird. Hostage negotiators do this all the time. When you have a hostage situation or kidnapping, you write it down and you give keywords.
Our mom. We want to talk to you, and we are waiting for contact. This is Cameron Guthrie. I'm speaking for the Guthrie family. Whoever is out there holding our mother, we want to hear from you. We haven't heard anything directly. We need you to reach out, and we need a way to communicate with you so we can move forward. But first, we have to know that you have our mom.
Okay.
We want to talk to you, and we are waiting for contact. This is Cameron Guthrie.
Sorry about that. Okay, so then we got all these. We saw the priest play, please pray, but look at the difference between how each one changes. People are saying Savannah's starting to look guilty. She doesn't look guilty to me. She looks tired and worn down. She's leading this, and she's ultimately going to be the one that has to pay. All right, let's just watch this, and then I'm going to get into everything new. And watch the sister's face again. She's smiling on this one. Look at that.
On behalf of our family,
Weirdest shit ever.
we want to thank all of you for the prayers for our beloved mom, Nancy. We feel them, and we continue to believe that she feels them too. Our mom is a kind, faithful, loyal, fiercely loving woman of goodness and light. She is funny, spunky, and clever.
Now, listen, I watched a video where they compared this video, and I shit you not, to the Silence of the Lambs kidnapping, and the verbiage was almost identical. Everyone remember the movie Silence of the Lambs? The senator's daughter got kidnapped, and the Hannibal Lecter said, she pled to Hannibal Lecter. She met Hannibal Lecter, and he's like, I bet your nipples were tough when she was breastfeeding. Well, the script that she wrote to talk to the kidnapper in Silence of the Lambs was almost identical to this very first video. Now, people are saying, where's the lone video? We just watched that. Okay, so you see that. Let's finish this and then I'll show you.
She has grandchildren that adore her and crowd around her and cover her with kisses. She loves fun and adventure. She is a devoted friend. She is full of kindness and knowledge. Talk to her and you'll see.
The light is missing from our lives. Nancy is our mother. We are her children.
And you see, she's reading it. Nothing's odd about them reading it because hostage negotiators do that.
She is our beacon. She holds fast to joy in all of life's circumstances. She chooses joy day after day, despite having already passed through great trials of pain and grief. We are always going to be merely human, just normal human people who need our mom. Mama, if you're listening,
Look at she's
we
crying.
need you to come home.
He's almost
We
stoned.
miss you.
Okay. It looks like she's forcing herself to cry. I'm going to go back to this. So in case you came in and you missed it, this is the very latest video. There's 283,000 views, and it's right on her Savannah Guthrie Instagram page.
Hi there, everybody. I wanted to come on and just share a few thoughts as we enter into another week of this nightmare.
You know what I'm gonna do, because I don't want to not be able to get through my content when something breaking comes. So I already showed this. If you guys want to go on Instagram yourself, go to Savannah. I'll drop the link right here. But I want to go to the updates, the latest updates. So I want to pull this down. Everybody's talking about her new plea. So here's the live updates. We need your help, Savannah Guthrie says, as the search for her mother enters week 2. All right, so let's just play this because this is brand new. That way we get the full deal with it when someone says, what's new? Well, this is. Oops, hold on. Turn the sound on. That would be helpful.
Show co-anchor Savannah Guthrie has just posted a new video message to Instagram.
That video, of course, comes as we enter the second week in the search for her mother, Nancy Guthrie. Let's listen to Savannah's remarks in their entirety.
Hi there, everybody.
Yep.
I wanted to come on and just share a few thoughts as we.
Now, they haven't told us yet, but what I'm hearing from, Dolly's over there, JLR's on the scene. It's all wonky, the video, but I have heard that they have not paid the ransom. Remember, it went from 2 million to 4 million to 6 million. And one of the ransom requests was a hoax. And the hoax was connected to the prime suspect that's not a prime suspect. Where are those red herrings, my friends? All right, let's keep going.
Enter into another week of this nightmare.
Yep.
I just want to say, first of all, thank you so much for all of the prayers and the love that we have felt, my sister and brother and I, and that our mom has felt. Because we believe that somehow, some way, she is feeling these prayers and that God is lifting her even in this moment and in this darkest place. We believe our mom is still out there. We need your help.
I think at this point, guys, I think a lot of you are right in chat when you say that she hasn't had any of her medicine that we know of. They don't know what's missing and what's not. Or they're not telling us. There's a lot of things they're not telling us, and we're having to link together ourselves because they don't want to compromise the case. All right, let's continue.
Law enforcement is working tirelessly around the clock, trying to bring her home, trying to find her. She was taken and we don't know where. And we need your help. So I'm coming on just to ask you, not just for your prayers, but no matter where you are, even if you're far from Tucson, if you see anything, if you hear anything, if there's anything at all that seems strange to you, that you report to law enforcement. We are at an hour of desperation.
And that's because the deadline has already came and gone. It's 4:30 my time, which is 7:30 their time. Okay, so Brian Enton is up to date, and he's from FBI. FBI is not aware of any continued communication between the Guthrie family and suspected kidnappers, nor have we identified a suspect or person of interest. And that was 10 minutes ago. 38 minutes ago, they said they were coming. All right, well, let's keep going. Good. So right now, nothing. They're just waiting out there in the dirt.
And we need your help.
That was Savannah Guthrie, our colleague, talking about her mom. If you've been watching, you know this has been a 2-week-long saga. Well, we're entering the second week right now. But that message just posted on Instagram by Savannah, calling this a nightmare, saying, we believe our mom is still out there. We need your help. Savannah really asking everyone, she said, outside of Tucson, wherever you are, if you have heard something, they really, really need your help.
Absolutely. Savannah, of course, a woman of faith, thanking everyone for prayers for her siblings and her mother, but also reiterating that wherever you are, Tucson or beyond, they need information. And they believe, as she said, we believe our mom is out there. She was taken and we do not know where.
Yeah, that struck me as well, saying we still don't know where she is. Let's bring in NBC News Chief Justice and National Affairs correspondent.
So, I mean, what do you think in chat? Let me know while this is all new. This is all new. You can see it's still daylight. The daylight's going to go soon. But, if you had to guess, is this a hoax? Or is this an actual ransom that they botched? I mean, it seems botched to me. Nobody's paid anything. They can't communicate properly. They got another person coming in that went directly to Tomaso and Annie's cell phones. How in the F did that happen?
On it. Kelly O'Donnell. Kelly, it's emotional to hear her talking straight to the camera like that. You sense her frustration in this situation. What do we know at this hour, Kelly, about the investigation?
Well, in many ways, Savannah's words give a very clear snapshot of what we're seeing on the ground.
Okay, so this is happening right now. So I want you guys to know, come on in, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't, get a membership if you can. This is Tucson, Arizona. She's there right now, and she's responding to the latest video that we just watched. And I wanted to thank you, Kathy, for the Guilty of Crime membership. Angel of Light, thanks for all you do, Jay. You're very welcome. Foxy for the 420 Guilty of Crime membership. And then Kathy for 2 more. If you received a membership, please thank them. All right, let's continue. We got a big show today. If I miss something, I'll come back.
It is an hour of desperation that despite extensive law enforcement work, there has been no breakthrough yet. And her appeal, this is not about alleged captors with a ransom note. She is asking for people who might be able to provide the kind of information that in an investigation can, in fact, open a window. Someone knowing something. It's clear that Nancy Guthrie was removed from her home. The how, the why, still needs to be found. We know the when in terms of the hour at which there was movement at the home on that Sunday night more than a week ago. Yep. And we know when her pacemaker device no longer was attached to her cell phone. What Savannah is talking about here is certainly an appeal for the kinds of tips that can mean someone who saw something, someone who heard something, someone who's heard someone talking about.
Now, listen, FBI has got to have more information than this. Coffee and Dog Studio says botched and she died, or someone close killed her for the inheritance. Well, that's the thing. That's what I asked in the beginning, but I'm wondering now if because it may have been botched in the beginning, and it's like, here's the thing. It's like these ransom notes were an afterthought of the crime that they committed. All right. So great question. It will be an inheritance if the family doesn't get charged with anything. All right. So, it's a big dirt bridge. Why do they let her live out? That's a good question. And I got to tell you, we're going to go to the timeline and the cameras and what the cameras might have picked up, because they say there's cameras that still have evidence in them. I'm telling you right now, FBI and law enforcement are throwing red herrings. They have to know more by now. And I think that they think that this the people that are putting the ransoms out are from another country and may not even be involved in this at all, which is the kicker in this case, because I can't wait to hear from them. Aren't they supposed to have a presser soon?
These events that might prove useful. There is a $50,000 reward that has been offered by the FBI. I think, as we know Savannah and our viewers know Savannah, she certainly appears very composed here. This has been a very painful, unimaginable experience, and yet she has a clear message of seeking help and of offering thanks, knowing that many people have.
And like I showed you in the beginning, I think you might have missed that, Miss Sadie's mama. I mean, it was from a long time ago, but somebody wrote a true crime creator this. Hi, friend. I'm loving. They also talk about her being goth as well. I found much more where people were talking shit about Annie and Tommaso. So this person was talking shit about Annie and saying, my husband went to high school with Annie and Savannah. And the whole thing started at first. He said, Annie did it. She's a whack job. Even back then, his opinion from a girl he knew 40 years ago is still crazy. And that's swirling on the web right now. There's a lot more of that, as well as the time, not only the timeline that has changed, but what Annie and Tommaso are saying occurred on the morning of the 911 call and why it actually happened at all. There's no possible way that church could have known she was missing because she didn't go into church and they didn't know if she was streaming or not. Now, this is a way different timeline. This one is even different than what we knew. January 31st, 5:32, Nancy travels to local family's home. 9:48, Tommaso says we now know, says family drops Nancy off and garage door opens. From what I'm hearing, it was just Tommaso and not Annie. 2 minutes later, the garage closes. And the only reason we know about this 1:47 a.m. is because of the doorbell camera getting disconnected and the devices. Now, software detects person on the camera just a few minutes later at 2:12. They're telling us there's no video or anything available. I'm kind of not buying that. And then by 2:28, the pacemaker app is disconnected from her phone. Okay, now we're done with that. We move until, almost, what is this, midnight? Or I'm sorry, 11:56, 2:28 in the morning. And then we go back to 11:56. Family checks on Nancy. And at noon, they call 911. And then by 12:15, cops arrive. The story keeps changing, and I'll show you how as we go. So if you think that Annie's into dark things, they said she was goth. They said she used drugs. And maybe she's a Wiccan or whatever, which still doesn't mean that she killed her mom. Now, there's 742 people in chat. Hit that like button, please. And we'll continue. We need to bring Nancy Guthrie home, whether she's alive or not, guys. All right? She deserves justice. All right, now let's go back to this. This is all the new stuff until we get to the press conference. Hold on.
Invested their time, their expertise, and their knowledge. I've been in regular contact with the FBI. They have a very large staff that is working here. We've seen that they've done searches. We see that they are doing some of the sophisticated tools that the federal agency has with respect to cell phone data, digital tools that they have, and shoe leather law enforcement going to businesses in the area, looking for any video that might help to establish a vehicle, using license plate readers, all of those kinds of things. I've been in touch with the White House today. Caroline Leavitt, press secretary of the president, says he is getting regular briefings and has great interest in this. Kash Patel, the FBI.
He's also said that he believes she's absolutely alive. So I wonder what President Trump knows versus what's happening. Now, Elizabeth, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. It says, in my opinion, if Tommaso did it, Annie knows, you're 110% proper on that. What kind of psychotic personality is she? going on TV with their siblings. She's writing her own prosecution. And I've got something for you. That's a perfect comment for me to lead into the next video after this, okay? So my goodness, you guys are super detectives as well. I know it. Tomas was Nancy's power of attorney. They did say that, but the paperwork changed. Tomas was Nancy's power of attorney, but can I tell you a joke, Orange Peel? They filed the paperwork wrong, and what the paperwork actually said was that Nancy had the power of attorney over Tomas. Jokes on them. I did see that, though. Lisa says I sub. Thank you, Guilty of Crime. So, yes, I heard that too, but they fucked it up. Guilty of Crime. I heard JLR's live that the sheriff's... Yes, I'm watching JLR and I'm watching Brian Enton. As soon as there's something coming on, Crafty Kid, I'm going live with them, okay? So I got you guys. In the meantime, I just want you to hear what my theories are based on the evidence that's been put out there and just my thoughts, right? Just my thoughts. Yeah. Yes, Sergeant. I was watching that today and I almost spit out my drink. He's like, joke's on you, buddy. The paperwork's wrong. So yes, I don't know how you did. I don't know how he did that, but that motherfucker filled it out wrong. And yes, cops know more, Maggie. And when I say red herrings in this case, there's a shitload of red herrings, in my opinion. All right, I don't want to say too much yet, but my goodness.
The FBI director has also been getting regular briefings. Savannah's voice in this is now the fourth time we have seen a video from the Guthrie family directly. This is the first time we've seen her solo. Her brother Cameron did a solo video earlier. And of course, the siblings, Savannah, Annie, and Cameron Guthrie.
Yeah, but why has Annie not been doing one by herself? And where is Tommaso? Why is he not supporting the family in this? Boy, oh boy, Tommaso did it. He went in the house with her, when he dropped her off, asked for money. Nancy said no. He killed her. Then he took her and asked for money through Bitcoin. Can't be tracked. And Corinne, welcome to the crime crew. At the end, I'll say, in my opinion. But I agree with you. All right, let's keep going.
Have appeared together. In this instance, she is asking for information. Will that be another way for someone out there to offer something that has not come forward yet? At the same time, hard, diligent, quiet work goes on from investigators.
I'm telling you, I heard that too, Joseph Morgan. I heard he's a freaking gambler that's in debt. Now, I have a whole profile on him. He's not very interesting at all, but he is kind of lazy. He's like a lazy teacher. He's like, he got a teacher's degree a long time ago. One of those, hippie teachers that probably flirts with their students. He's not very interesting, but what he is pretty lazy, in my opinion, and he's pretty broke. And from what I hear, he has a gambling habit, and maybe someone told him, I'm going to kill you if you don't get that money. And so he needed to access the family's money somehow, just in my opinion. All right. Nothing else, nothing more.
To try to look for some of those electronic or evidentiary leads. But as we understand it, there is no identified suspect. There is no key lead that law enforcement has made us aware of at this point. And that makes all of this just more confounding and heartbreaking for the Guthrie family and for the community.
Oh my God. I don't know, Crafty, if you're a boy or a girl, but I was going to say girl. That got me real heated seeing the sheriff at the game while Nancy was missing. No kind of urgency at all. It's crazy. Damn, man. Oh my goodness. Oh, Chris is back. Yay.
Being here in Tucson, you definitely get the sense that the people who are a part of Mrs. Guthrie, Nancy Guthrie's community and her everyday life are deeply concerned, as is the public. And so this new message from Savannah may be an opportunity for someone who is hearing this to provide a tip, a clue, an insight that they can then act on and find more information.
No, absolutely, Kelly. And I'm struck that you mentioned this is the fourth time we have heard directly from the family. Savannah, of course, saying we need your help. Kelly, can you remind us where the investigation stands right now and the state of resources on the ground? Of course, there was a...
So she's out there right now with Dolly, with JLR, with all the crews, which I can keep going back and forth and seeing. They're kind of just, you remember the Emmanuel Haro case where everyone was kind of lollygagging outside. It started getting dark. Law enforcement kind of gave this cockamamie update that didn't really tell us shit. Well, guess what? I hope that's not that, because something's FBI and law enforcement have to know more.
A lot of activity this weekend. We know there was a consent search of her sister Annie's home. Set the scene.
Oh, no, there wasn't, because there was also a search warrant that I cannot find online. It's not out there yet, but there was a search warrant, and that search warrant and them going back again late through the night came after the connection between Annie Tommaso and the fake hoaxer kidnapper. They went back in and said, shit, we missed something. What did we miss, and where are those connections coming from? Now, this is me speculating.
For us there.
But I'm not speculating that they went back in and they checked over the same thing that they had already done that. All right. Oh, be quiet.
Well, it, of course, is led by the Pima County Sheriff's Department. They are the agency with jurisdiction, and they are getting the resources of the FBI, and they are considerable resources. Agents and personnel brought in from not only the Phoenix field office, which is of considerable size, there's a Tucson field office, and other agencies as well. They tell us that they are using hundreds of agents to do this work. Some of it has been in a physical sense on the properties here related to the Guthrie family. Nancy Guthrie's home, the home of Annie, Savannah's sister, daughter of Nancy, and that's a separate location. When you talk about a consent search, why?
That's why I want you guys to see this, because that's what was happening in the weekend. And many of you guys might have gotten thrown off track. Like, wait a minute, I can't keep all this information straight. They're in the well. There's a kidnapper. Where's up? All over the place. Don't worry. I'll get you all into one nice little bow for you by the end of the episode. I promise. But yeah, that's them working late into the night. I still hear that it wasn't luminol, but there were flashes of pictures that they say was evidence. Why would there be evidence inside of Annie and Tommaso's house?
That is important. The home of Annie Guthrie is the place where Nancy Guthrie was last seen for the family dinner. And so it would be a standard procedure to try to gain any information there.
Standard procedure to go back 3 or 4 times and possibly use luminol? Does anybody else think that's standard procedure? Because I've been watching lots of law enforcement perspective, and that's not standard procedure at all.
There has been the kind of typical legwork of looking in areas like a septic tank that was seen, looking in the immediate area, doing what's considered a grid search for any potential clues. That's a baseline of investigative work that needs to be done to not only orient the agents and officers and personnel who are here, but also to check boxes of what needs to be understood about the potential crime scene, not just the house, but wider area. And
it's like they say something like that. They say the crime scene, and it's like, wait a minute, are there 2 crime scenes? The way they word things are just a little bit not right. And we'll find out why eventually, hopefully soon.
And it is about trying to get other kinds of information from digital realms. We have these notes that have been sent to media outlets addressing the family. Again, we don't know if those notes are directly connected to the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie, or in fact a separate crime of opportunists who are trying to extort money and do not have any direct connection. We don't know the answer yet about whether those are credible ransom notes or whether they are a painful distraction and a separate crime. So at this point, there is a lot of work being done. Typically in investigations, when there are useful probative facts, they are not quick to make that public.
And they shouldn't. They shouldn't. I want to go over the timeline and everything, but I want to show you this real quick so we can go back and forth about this, because it's a main point today for me. I just want you to take a look at this. Annie Guthrie and husband get imposter ransom text amid the Nancy Guthrie disappearance. And that happened 3 days ago. And then, bam, stormtroopers all weekend were checking both houses again. And a lot of time spent at Annie's house. So court documents say Annie Guthrie and her husband, Tommaso Cioni, received a ransom-style text from an alleged imposter after Nancy went missing. The messages allegedly were from Derek Kalella. Did you get the Bitcoin? We're getting sick of waiting on our end for your translation. Kalella of Hawthorne, California, was arrested on Thursday and charged with transmitting an interstate ransom demand and using a telecom to abuse or threaten. I guarantee you they're looking further into those connections. Nancy's 84, living in Tucson, reported missing February 1st, last seen January 31st with Tommaso and Annie. All right. And I just threw that in there. So let's keep going. I'm going to make sure there's nothing mother trucking new. All right. So we'll pull that down. I just want to remind you guys where we are in this case. And I'm going to go back to the article and the timeline before I have to hop off. Okay. All right. Do we know what town what? Hawthorne, California. Okay. So we went through that. Well, we know this is at 7:48 Eastern. They just updated this. It's almost 8 o'clock. So this is the latest. What to know. Now listen, what to know is what they want us to know and what they don't want us to know. So they're just giving us, again, red herrings. All right. It's been more than a week. It's been almost 2 weeks now. Co-anchor Savannah Guthrie was reported missing, and authorities said Saturday they have not identified any suspects, person of interest, or vehicles connected to the case. Now, Nancy Guthrie, 84, was dropped off at her home outside of Tucson on January 31st and then was reported missing around noon on February 1st. An Instagram video today that we just saw, Savannah says the family believes Guthrie is still out there. She asks the viewers to report anything strange. We are on our hour of desperation and we need your help. Now, the FBI and Pima County Sheriff said Friday that the agencies are aware of a new message regarding Guthrie. It's not clear what kind of message it is and if it's connected to possible ransom notes that were sent out to 3 news outlets. Last week, we only heard about 2. Now there's 3. In the video on Saturday night, Savannah Guthrie addressed her mother's possible kidnapper and begged for her return. All right. I don't think this one's a timeline. This just goes 3 hours ago. FBI says it's working around the clock for a break in the case. Additional personnel from the FBI office will continue to deploy to Tucson. All right. 4 hours. We believe our mom is still out there. We need your help. And then we see that and law enforcement. Oh, here it is. Here's the timeline. But we still don't know how they knew she was missing and who they are. All I keep hearing is they called 911 because they said that Nancy didn't go to church. Well, who's they that called 911? Who's they that knew she was missing? And who's they that went to go check on her? Does anyone know, or am I lost? Am I confused? Because there's a whole bunch of theys. You say rest in peace, Nancy. I don't believe that Nancy was everyone taken at home, in my opinion. Jay, didn't they say Nancy couldn't? Yeah, she couldn't get around by herself, and she doesn't go into church either. She doesn't go into church, guys. She was watching it via Zoom. She can't make it more than 50 steps. All right. What's up, Free Beer? Good to see you. And IAE, how you doing? You think that she was killed that morning? Stromboli, huh? All right. Mainly on this channel. All right. Now let me go over the timeline with you, which has changed. It keeps changing just a bit. February 1st, Nancy Guthrie reports. See, and it just says Nancy Guthrie's family reports her missing around noon. I wonder who. Do you think it was Annie that said to Savannah, "Hey, I have a weird feeling I haven't talked to mom since last night." Still, we don't know. All right. February 2nd. Again, an afterthought. Okay. This ransom note seems weird and odd to you and to me because it's an afterthought. If you're going to kidnap somebody for a ransom, you're going to either leave a ransom note where somebody can see or send it out when the person goes missing. So remember, she actually may have went missing the night before February 1st. They never even got a first ransom note until February 2nd. A ransom note wasn't sent to the person that has the purse string Savannah, but it was sent to media outlets, including a local TV station. Weird, weird, weird. Kidnappers don't know how to kidnap these days. Now, February 3rd, blood was found. But guys, by then, investigators already had let people in and out, this and that. They stepped all over it. Blood found near the door. DNA testing confirms it belongs to Nancy. Now, February 4th, what we got 3 days later, first family video. Family releases an Instagram video asking the possible kidnapper to contact them and requesting proof of life. Next day, second family video, which is the first deadline of the kidnapper's demand. It's due today at 5 p.m. local time. First deadline mentioned in the ransom note, and guys, it passes. Around the same time, Cameron Guthrie appears in a video, that's the son, asking for a way to communicate with whoever can be holding mom, because now they do not have an exchange. They don't know who they're talking to or where it's going to go to. Is it going to go to NBC? Is it going to go to CNN? Is it going to go to TMZ? Is it going to come to me? What's happening? All right. February 6th, a second ransom note is sent to, it didn't come to me. It didn't come to NBC or TMZ this time. Wow, but a second ransom note after the brother asks for a way to communicate, they instead send it to the local Tucson television, KOLD. Then we wait a whole other day, which, by the way, every 24 hours is a possibility that Nancy's no longer with us. February 7th, third family video. The family releases a third video saying they would pay for her safe return, which, by the way, went from $2 million to $4 million and now $6 million. Now, February 9th, we've got a second deadline, which I don't even know why they didn't put inside the deadline that the fake hoaxer kidnapper sent it out, which was 3 days ago. That should have been in here somewhere around the 5th or the 6th. Fake hoax alleged kidnapper sends a note, and the note goes to who else? Annie and Tomasa. Then FBI goes back out, searches their property multiple times late into the night. They forgot to put that in there. All right. Today, we're on February 9th, and that's the last deadline, allegedly. That is why Savannah went on there and said the hours are going fast. It's quick, whatever. Second deadline's mentioned. That was supposed to be tonight at 7 Eastern. It's already 8 o'clock Eastern, and I don't see any new updates. I'm looking at Brian Enton. I'm keeping refreshing. I see all these live news feeds, and there's nothing going on. 29 minutes ago, latest on Nancy Guthrie. FBI has no continued communication with suspected kidnappers. What happens now? All right. So that's why we're continuing this, because we don't know. That's where we're left off. What the hell? All right. Now, Trump is closely following the investigation. White House press says we'll follow closely the Guthrie investigation to receive frequent updates. We're waiting for updates right freaking now. Brian Enton doesn't have anything, but I want you to see, this is important to me I want to talk about the cameras, but what is very important to me, in case we get interrupted, is for you guys to watch this with me. You ask and you shall receive, right? Ask and you shall receive. And I'm not saying he did this because I asked, but what I'm saying is I said, man, I really want Deception Detective to come on and analyze those damn videos, because Deception Detective will tell us this doesn't look good. Well, guess what? Deception Detective just came out with a video 13 minutes ago that says this doesn't look good. He's going to break this down for us. So, DD, I've already put him, guys. I want you to know I always tag Deception Detective. He knows when I'm using the stream. I give him the credit, and he even comes by to say hi. Well, he's got a new video 13 minutes ago, and he says it's not looking good. I'm also following Banfield News Nation, but before I do anything, I want you to see this because there's no real new information except for the new. We're waiting on the deadline and the new Savannah Guthrie Instagram, which Deception Detective put out 13 minutes ago and says this does not look good. Let's listen in, okay? Okay.
Law enforcement is working tirelessly around the clock trying to bring her home, trying to find her. She was taken and we don't know where. And we need your help. So I'm coming on just to ask you, not just for your prayers, but no matter where you are, even if you're far from Tucson, if you see anything, if you hear anything, if there's anything at all that seems...
I want you to know you might not have seen this one yet. This just came out while I was streaming. There is another one that analyzes the other three, but this is the one. All right. Yeah, she has makeup. This is the last hour. Okay. This is allegedly the last hour. And then Nancy would be dead, according to the kidnapper's note.
Strange to you.
That's the latest update from Savannah Guthrie about her missing mother, Nancy Guthrie, and it's very different than all the others. So in today's video, let's break it down. I'm Deception Detective, an attorney trained in statement analysis. This channel exposes lies and manipulation, so if that's your thing, hit subscribe. For early access to new videos, over 60 exclusive videos.
Yes, and more on this case. We love you for that.
But this newest update, which she uploaded to Instagram about an hour ago, is very different. So let's watch it and break it down as we go.
Breaking news, we have just received a brand new video from Savannah Guthrie as we are a little over an hour away from one of the deadlines in the letter for this ransom payment. We're getting it ready. We are about to play it for you in just a moment. But I can tell you that in it, she says, we need your help. And we're going to play this for you as soon as we get it turned around.
Hi there, everybody. I wanted to come on and just share a few thoughts.
I left in that bit of context from Fox News because it's important. Savannah uploaded this.
Guys, I got to tell you, it's not just Deception Detective. There's so many body language experts. Scott Rouse is on there. Body language experts from Fox News breaks down the message. So many people are doing this. And I want to know what they're saying because it's all just coming out right now.
Video wanting to just share a few thoughts right before the deadline of one of the most credible ransom demands for her mother, which implies some sort of knowledge or at least high confidence that's a fake ransom demand. And I agree. I think all the demands they've received so far are from hoaxers. And if you've seen my other videos in this series, which I'll link below, you'll know why. But Savannah, I think, reveals even more knowledge in this video than she realizes. So let's keep watching.
I wanted to come on and just share a few thoughts as we enter into another week of this nightmare. I just want to say, first of all, thank you so much for all of the prayers and the love that we have felt, my sister and brother and I.
Yeah, there was no Uber ride. I don't know who said there was an Uber ride. Maybe that was in the initial timeline, but there was no Uber ride. Tommaso's the one that gave her a ride home. And then guess what, guys? You want to know what's even more suspicious? Is that Tommaso said that she went through the garage and that he just dropped her off. Would you just drop an 84-year-old woman off without assisting her to go? I don't think so. And you wouldn't have her go through the garage because in the garage, you've always got this step that's yay high to get into the house. He's claiming, in my opinion, that he went through the garage. You want to know why he's claiming that, in my opinion? Because they didn't have a Ring camera on the garage. They had a Ring camera on the front door. Do you remember the Chris Watts case? Well, Chris Watts, we saw Chris Watts' wife. Remember, he a family annihilated them. We saw Chris Watts' wife walk through the front door and she never came out. But what we did see was Chris Watts back into the driveway and he put her body inside the back and carried the little girls in the truck. And he used that same logic. Oh, we went through the garage. And you know why? Because he didn't want them to see, obviously, him bringing out her body on the ring cam. So Tommaso can make his own timeline. He said she went through the garage. He just dropped her off. He stopped in the driveway. Apparently, she opened the garage, and her 84-year-old self took 50 steps all by herself. It was reported she caught an Uber there and then dropped her off. Okay, well, that's fine. Twin Mommy's been for 21 months. Love you and thank you, as well as, what else did I miss? Kathy, thank you so much. I will try to help you. Jay sent email. Don't know if there's a lot of fake news out there. And then Debbie just gifted a Guilty of Crime membership. Please thank her. Yes, well, we don't know if he did or not, but I'm telling you that he's using, in my opinion, he's using the garage as an excuse, because they would have seen him drop her off at the front door if it were actually at 9:48 p.m. So in order for him to get past that, he said she went through the garage, which you can't see on the Ring doorbell, even if it's there or not.
And that our mom has felt. Because we believe that somehow, some way, she is feeling these prayers and that God is lifting her even in this moment and in this darkest place. We believe our mom is still out there. We need your help.
In her earlier video, Savannah said that she believes her mother is out there and alive. Now she's just saying that she thinks her mother's out there. And I don't know if that's just because she's been told it's very likely her mother is dead by now, or that she has knowledge of it. It's also notable that she's now asking for the public's help in finding her mother. Remember, before this was treated as a kidnapping, Savannah and her siblings were making videos addressed to the kidnappers, not the general public. And I think the implication is that Savannah no longer considers this a stranger kidnapping, at least not a kidnapping for ransom. Which brings us to the biggest, most glaring difference between this video and the others. Let's continue watching and see.
And boy, do I love this breakdown, because he puts all of them in there. And yeah, Kelly Brown says, when do you ever drop an 84-year-old woman without walking her, turning on lights, helping her get in the walker? She Ubered to dinner. Okay. Which the Uber would have nothing to do with what he did. My mom's 71. And I don't care what anyone says, even with her living right next door. And you could ask her, I still walk with her, open the gate, carry whatever. You know, she could do it herself. It doesn't make sense. Make it make sense. It doesn't. It really, truly doesn't. Okay. And if she's still alive, I don't know. What are they doing? Feeding her, door dashing her food, giving her water. Hey, honey, Nancy, sweetheart, it's time to take your medication. It's 3:00. Come on. I don't know about that, guys.
See if you can spot it.
Law enforcement is working tirelessly around the clock, trying to bring her home, trying to find her. She was taken and we don't know where. And we need your help.
Blue Ransom.
So I'm coming on just to ask you, not just for your prayers, but no matter where you are, even if you're far from Tucson, if you see anything, if you hear anything, if there's anything at all that seems strange to you, that you report to law enforcement.
You guys are loons.
We are at an hour of desperation. And we need your help.
You don't need to be a statement analyst or deception detective to realize that Savannah's speaking on behalf of her siblings, but they're nowhere to be found. And I think that's a big deal, because the main reason I think that Savannah is innocent, even if I'm not certain about her siblings, is because of her statements. Even when they're with her, she's the only one saying all the correct things according to my missing person presser checklist. Savannah was the only one who consistently addressed the kidnappers until now.
Well, here's the thing, though. So, in all fairness, Savannah Guthrie is the face of the news, right? She's been out there for a long time. That only makes sense. I'm sure I would be the person that speaks for my family, because that's what I do, right? So that makes sense to me, but other things don't, and that's what we're getting into. And then next, we're going to talk about what they have on video, unless the breaking news comes. and law enforcement tells us something else.
Which is why I think she has knowledge that this was not a stranger kidnapping. Savannah was the only one who consistently addressed her mother in the videos until now, which is why I think she has knowledge to the contrary, unfortunately. And she's the only one consistently putting herself out there asking for help, whether it's prayers or tips from people who aren't even in Arizona. That's the desperation I expect from innocent people. And in case you missed my first video in this series, here's the rest of the items on my missing person presser checklist. I'm not talking about any of the other family members when I say this, but I don't think Savannah Guthrie is involved because of what she said in that ransom message. As I said, she met all the criteria of my missing person presser checklist, which we've used in many of the cases we've analyzed on the channel, mostly missing child cases. And that's because innocent people tend to do 7 things when one of their family members goes missing. First of all, they talk about the missing person in present tense.
And I love when he does this, but also he's 110% correct. This is how, because I was listening to hostage negotiators and all that. There's a whole job for this. The last time that an actual hostage negotiation, did you guys know the last time a successful hostage negotiation actually went through? I think they said was 1971. I can't remember all the details. I'll have to look it up, but it's not often, guys, that you're going to get a kidnapping and they're going to come back alive. Okay. For example, who was kidnapped? Anybody could think, I'll have to look it up, but anybody could think with the Olympics, they wanted to take her off the Olympics. Is that why? What does that mean? All right, let's take a look at this and then I'll get back to that. But present tense, cooperative, inclusive, like I said, hostage negotiators and people work in kidnapping help write these things to make sure this checklist is correct.
Because they don't know whether they're alive or dead. Second, they're cooperative. So if the police or media ask them questions, they answer fully and candidly, like Savannah Guthrie is doing. Whereas guilty parties typically choose their words more carefully and are usually more vague and reticent. Third, innocent parties are inconclusive about what happened if there's no evidence to suggest one scenario over another. In this case, there appears to be some evidence that Nancy was kidnapped, even if the police haven't shown it to the public. So I don't blame Savannah Guthrie and her relatives for treating it as a kidnapping. Which brings me to the 4th item on the checklist. If a kidnapping is also on the table, I would expect the family members to look into the camera and beg any kidnappers or anyone who might have seen something to come forward. And if the missing person is old enough to watch the TV themselves or browse the internet, I would expect them to address that person directly too. There's opportunists and scammers muddying the waters trying to claim some of the money. But if I had to bet right now, I'd say that someone close to the family might be involved. It might be a hoax, but I doubt Savannah Guthrie herself is involved. Even if she didn't write that script herself and probably had an expert help her do it, she still read the words and asked for that help. So that's my missing presser checklist, and it served us very well over the years. And the fact that Savannah is no longer addressing her mother through the camera like she was before is one of the reasons I think the FBI has given her high confidence or even knowledge that her mother is no longer alive. I also think that's why she's no longer addressing the kidnapper, but instead is addressing.
And now remember, she still wants her mom to come home. And if they need to lay her to rest, if she's already passed, they still want to lay her to rest. All right. Annie Guthrie in the kitchen with the candlestick. So they want her home no matter what. And that's what I think she's saying in the latest video is bring her home. We'll pay for it. But now they're not communicating. They stop communicating. And when they ask for communication, it goes to the news media, which, guys, is the opposite. If there was a opposite of, there's black and white are the opposite. If there was an opposite of a ransom note versus what we're doing here, that's a complete opposite of what people do in hostage situations. They'll give you a letter and they'll tell you, do not contact the police, FBI, or anybody else, or we will kill that person. Now, I remember what I was going to say. Israel Keys. If you guys know about Israel Keys, you'll know that he kidnapped, killed, and then photographed his person that was a hostage. He was asking for ransom money. He took a picture of her by sewing her eyelids open and putting makeup on her face and showing proof of life. So that was what got Israel Keys, was because he did a hostage or kidnapping situation. She was already dead. He showed proof of life, but it wasn't really a proof of life. She actually, we found out later, she was dead. He took his own life, etc. All right. So they don't work out very often, and especially when they're not an afterthought.
The general public asking for tips and help because the FBI has convinced her or even proven to her that the ransom demands she received were hoaxes, and I think they were. As for Savannah's siblings and other relatives, I really can't comment on them because I haven't seen them speak that much besides the scripted stuff they read in those ransom videos. But I can say this, in all the cases we've covered, it's always the hoaxers who only talk when they have to in order to defend themselves. Whenever the relatives of a missing person are reticent or vague or deflect from the disappearance, it's always a red flag. Anyway, by the time you see this video, you'll know whether or not Savannah paid that ransom. And like I said, I doubt.
And we don't, DD, because the deadline has passed, unfortunately. It's passed, it's done, it's gone. Did they pay? Are they really even going to tell us if they paid? All right, let's look at the cameras. You guys saw this weekend they were pulling cameras. They pulled a camera from the roof. Well, what did that reveal? Or what may it reveal?
Right now, what will happen to Nancy Guthrie at 5 p.m. Arizona local time today? The ominous second deadline is ours.
Now listen, this is the deadline. That was the second deadline. This was This was actually today. So that's the second deadline that they've missed. I've heard nothing about it. What's going to happen to her?
Away. It's one of the most high-profile missing persons cases in decades. I'm Harris Faulkner. You are in the Faulkner Focus, day 9. And some sudden return to the scene activity, the home where the missing mom of NBC host Savannah Guthrie's mom was at last for dinner before she vanished, also a place they went back to and are going back to, and a whole lot of other action and movement to get you brought in on. Savannah and her siblings are making their third cryptic plea to whomever is holding their mom.
Fourth.
We received your message and we understand.
So this was hours ago today, right? We were waiting to get an update. I'm still waiting for Dolly and JLR and all the people that are on the scene for police to get there and talk. But we didn't know at the time that this came out that Savannah was going to go on there and plead one more time.
We beg you now to return our mother to us so that we can celebrate with her. This is the only way we will have peace. This is very valuable to us, and we will pay.
And of course, we know that there has also been a video from the brother who you saw on her right-hand side, Cameron. And as that video was released, new scrutiny over the investigation itself after the sheriff leading the case, the Pima County sheriff. This is one of the biggest cases ever in the state of Arizona. He's in charge, spotted courtside at University of Arizona basketball game. Now, they are number 1 in the country, which would...
There you go. So that was the sheriff that I got heated earlier. They were saying he's at the basketball game and they're looking for Nancy. Is there something he already knows? Does he know that she's already dead? And thank you for saying that, Christopher. I feel the exact same way. The brother, I believe, has some kind of background, maybe military background, and I think he's just emotion. Yeah, jet pilot. Just a serious dude. I don't think he had anything to do with it. Yeah, look at the John Benet Ramsey letter. All the writing she found in the basement. Yeah, Dolly's there on scene right now.
I tell you, you definitely could have watched this on TV. It's raising some fresh questions about focus and urgency. Sheriff Nanos now acknowledging some missteps on his own in securing Nancy Guthrie's home. As Fox Digital reports, staff...
I told you, they done effed up. They fudged up on that. And then seeing this dude at a basketball game made people a little upset. All right, let's keep going. But the missteps are a big deal. When you have a hostage situation where somebody's at that age and has to have their medicine and you F up those first 24 to 48 hours.
Shortages delayed the launch of high-tech search aircraft for the hours after 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie was first reported missing.
Dolly got there today, guys. Dolly was collecting money last night. And Dolly said, if I get enough money, I'm flying there today. He flew there. He was on site when I hopped on. He's still on site. I'll only stream him if some big breaking news comes up because I don't want to use his stream just to watch the dirt kick around. That's not my idea of entertainment. Nothing's happening. But yes, Dolly collected the money and Dolly is there. He flew and yeah, he has an awesome audience.
In moments, we'll hear from former FBI Special Agent Stuart Kaplan. We'll dig in deep with Stuart. First, though, senior correspondent Alicia Acuna reports live from Tucson. Alicia.
And Marnie, Hi, Harris. No confirmation yet on whether the family has paid that reported $6 million. And we don't know yet if that video that the Guthries released over the weekend prompted any movement by her captors. Right now, we want to give you a bird's eye view of the situation here on the ground from our Fox flight crew. You can see two sheriff's vehicles parked outside the home. This began on Sunday. The department issuing a statement saying their constant presence now is at the request of the Guthrie family. There's this septic tank that was searched this weekend as well.
And that's what you guys were talking about earlier. They are requesting to have the presence of police because they are scared. All right. I don't think that they're at some gated mansion anywhere. Maybe they are, but either way, if they are, they do have the police presence so nothing happens to them.
On Sunday afternoon, investigators used a long pole to probe inside. They were focused here for about an hour in the back of Nancy's property. On Saturday night, law enforcement returned to re-walk the terrain around the house using their flashlights in the pitch black dark of night. Then later that night, our Fox Digital team was at Annie Guthrie's house when sheriff's deputies went inside. Flashes of light could be seen like coming from a camera. They were coming from the garage and also from another room. The FBI is analyzing a trove of data from not only Nancy Guthrie's home, but her neighbors. This is a photo of one of the cameras removed from the outside of Nancy's house. Even if a camera like this.
And do you guys notice they're not telling us what happened? They're not telling us anything about what they found, took, or did at the Annie Guthrie home. Also, after this is over, I'll hop on to a live stream and show you that the media's there. Law enforcement's supposed to be set up. The deadline right now, I believe Arizona time, is it Mountain Time? It's 5:21 Pacific Standard Time here. I don't know if Arizona is an hour ahead or not. So you guys tell me. But it seems like they're getting ready for something.
Doesn't record someone on the property, the FBI can grab what's known as unseen data.
For example, you have a lot of neighbors saying, oh, my Ring camera never registered anything. Doesn't mean the technology has not logged the ability to see it, but didn't think it was big enough to ping that app we may use. So there still could be data there. Cameras facing the Guthrie house right now show very little activity, but I promise you there's an enormous amount of activity going on the digital side.
And Harris here on day 9, still no suspects officially or persons of interest. Back to you.
Alicia, thank you.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch.
All right, so let's hop on real quick. I'm gonna have you take a look at this so you know that we're not missing anything, and then I'm gonna show you this timeline so you can see the latest stuff. It's really all the stuff that I put together for you today. I did not know that the deadline was right when I was supposed to be streaming, but here we are. And there's nothing going on. This is JLR right now. Dolly's down there. Nothing's happening. They're literally just waiting. That's it. So that's live. Brian Etten is there as well. And Brian Etten is saying zero, zip, nada, zilch. Nothing is happening right now. So that's what I'm keeping an eye on. I've got 4 mods keeping an eye out for me. Probably more. I know other people send me. I wonder what's happening in the pen process for a book. Someone needs to start it. Who ultimately benefit from it? Well, who would benefit? Maybe Tommaso thought that he was going to benefit because he thought he did the power of attorney correctly. But he didn't do the power of attorney correctly, and he's an idiot, in my opinion. I think I'm allowed to say that, right? Okay, so let's take a look at this, what we know. And again, we're still waiting. Nancy Guthrie disappearance. This just came out, updated today. We saw the new message, but let's take a look at this timeline real quick. Hopefully I don't have to read it.
The timeline, I think we've got it on the board, do we not? This is a timeline that we have been able to develop with some of the things that we've had processed. Various pieces of electronics that we've gathered. And you look at some of this, and I know you're going to say, well, why did it take you so long to get this to us, Sheriff? Well, because one thing, it's got to go out and be processed at different lab sites. And sometimes that stuff comes back.
Also, again, does that not, we're going to listen to what he says, but does that not strike you odd that Nancy gets dropped off? And I mean, literally, he just pulls in the driveway, drops her off at 9:48. And at 9, it takes her 2 minutes to straddle her way in there to close it. And nobody helps her turn the lights or do anything. Just that alone But then when we start seeing that the doorbell camera was disconnected, what happened there? Did she actually ever make it home? Did they use it as a ruse? Did they wait till she fell asleep? Because look, guys, this is the time where people would be sleeping between 2 and 5 a.m. People are in their REM sleep, just like what happened with the Teppies. Between 2 and 5 a.m., he went in and he killed them. All right.
Back to us. And like you, we have questions. And we say, wait a minute, what is this about? What about this? Could it be that? And so it's sent back or it's sent somewhere else. So, and that's happening with all of the things we see, that process, that review, and that questioning of, all right, what is it we're looking at? So I'll go over it with you. You can see it on the board there, but at about 5:32 p.m., these are approximate times. 5:32 p.m., Nancy travels to her local family's home for dinner and playing games with the family, and just visiting. At 9:48 p.m., which is very consistent to what we.
Listen, he's telling us everything that went on in the words of Tommaso and Annie, because they were the ones that were with her. They're the ones that dropped her off. And then whoever was hanging out and eating dinner, what have you. That's what he's telling us right now. I don't think Tommaso would have to go back in through a window. If he was a trusted family member that was supposedly had a power of attorney, he would have access to get in. But why rip off the front doorbell? All right. She was ambushed after they got high. All right, let's keep going. I just want you to hear what they're saying about this.
We're told by the family that Nancy was dropped off at home, and we know that because we have a garage door open at approximately, I can't stress that enough, at approximately 9:48 p.m. At 9:50 p.m., that garage door closes, which is that time we assume that Nancy's home and probably going to bed. Sunday morning, early morning at 1:47 a.m., the doorbell camera disconnects. At 2:12 a.m., software detects a person on a camera, but there's no video available. They had no subscription, and therefore it would rewrite itself. It just kind of loops, right, and covers up. That's what our analysis teams have told us. We're not done with that. We'll do all we can, but that's what it says. So that detects a person on camera. Could that be an animal? I imagine that's possible. We don't know that. We just haven't.
Guys, I really think they're purposely leaving things out of the timeline, and they're not telling us if there were other drops in Nancy's house. Right now, law enforcement is literally telling us what you're hearing, and we're waiting for an update. But they left out some of the things, the key points. At this point, is it possible? Maybe stage scene and she's off living her best life? I doubt that. I doubt that. Hey, Lacey, how you doing? I really doubt that. But they are missing lots of things in this timeline. I got to tell you, they have not mentioned Tommaso's name. I haven't heard his name since the beginning. I haven't seen him. 4 days ago, he was spotted with Annie because they were driving over to, where the news media. But there's a lot they're missing. And what is it that they're not telling us, guys? All right. Earlier I was watching the updates, and they said a red herring in a criminal investigation is a misleading clue that sometimes appears important or suspicious, but it ultimately distracts either us or the investigators from knowing the real evidence, so that the offender doesn't know, the public doesn't know. Red herring is a misleading clue. All right. It can be a red herring is any detail that will pull investigators or the public in the wrong direction, so that a person that's suspicious, if they turn out to be irrelevant or not, they don't run, or a piece of evidence that looks incriminating, but it's not. A false lead that consumes time and resources, like the fake kidnapping Bitcoin text that came to Annie and Tommaso. Why did it go directly to them? They don't have anything. Or do they?
No video. But we're not giving up on that. 2:28. Nancy's pacemaker app shows that it was a disconnect from the phone. And at 11:56 a.m., the family checks on Nancy and discovers her missing. And at 12:03 p.m., 911 is called in to the Pima County Sheriff's Department. I believe it's about approximately 10 minutes later, 12 minutes later, our patrol teams arrive. They see the scene, and we start our response with our search and rescue teams and our detectives from homicide and various units. In fact, every unit here, I think somebody questioned, how come there's an ICAC member out here or this member? Everybody in our criminal investigations team is a part of this team and part of this investigative effort.
Breaking news. Our colleague, Today Show co-anchor Savannah Guthrie has just posted a new video message.
Okay, so that's everything that's coming out right now as breaking. So we're going to pull that down. I'm still waiting for law enforcement to start, but we're also going to look at the proof of life. Haunting details emerge from alleged Guthrie ransom email. That was today. I want to know, is there a proof of life or is there not? We still don't know that. They still have not told us that. And by the way, guys, we still have 1,300 people in here. If you would do me a favor and hit that like button, subscribe if you would. I'll gift a membership if anyone wants to match me. Tiffany says, I gotta see something other than the Annie Tommaso said to believe that they didn't just off the poor lady. That's what we're waiting for, my friend. But you guys, it's totally free to hit the like button and then share. That'd be awesome. I'll gift some memberships now. And if anyone wants to match me some memberships, that'd be awesome. But I got you covered. Thank you, guys.
Search for Nancy Guthrie now enters a second week. A second alleged ransom deadline set for today at 5 p.m. Mountain Time. The demand reportedly set at $6 million. KGUN 9, which is a local TV news outlet, says the sender is threatening Nancy Guthrie's life if the ransom is not paid today by 5 o'clock. Savannah Guthrie and her.
I want you guys to understand that we're talking about right now, right this very minute at 5 o'clock. Now, I'm in California and it's 5:32. So that means that ransom has done past and they don't know how to allegedly get a hold of the kidnappers. They want to pay them, but they keep disappearing. They come back a day later. Media is set outside. So hopefully they come on soon, but that's what's happening right now. It's done and gone, but
Her siblings released a new video over the weekend saying that they will pay the reported ransom, begging for her return. Watch this.
We received your message and we understand. We beg you now to return our mother to us so that we can celebrate with her. This is the only way we will have peace. This is very valuable to us and we will pay.
She said,
the FBI tells the Associated Press that when Savannah says in the video, quote, we received your message, she is referencing another alleged ransom note sent through email to local TV news station KOLD on Friday. That outlet says that the email did not contain any proof of life of Nancy. Meanwhile, former FBI Special Agent Nicole Parker joined me on Sunday Morning Futures and said this.
I can't tell you how important to me the pacemaker is indicative of the level of stress in somebody. That heart rate is.
So we'll listen to this, but also is there a proof of life and would they tell us if that's the case? Because that's what we're looking for. If she's still alive, if they're not, I don't know if they're telling us or they're not telling us because of a certain thing, or they're really telling us the truth. I don't know because it keeps changing. Every second I look at it, I don't see anything happening.
It's going to go up and down based on distress that someone is facing. If I were an investigator, I would be looking very closely at that pacemaker and looking, when was her heart rate going up? Who was she around? What was she doing? And then piecing that together with the cell phones. Who was she communicating with? Who was she in the presence of?
Investigators say that they still have no suspects or persons of interest at this time. This story is heartbreaking, Liz. I feel like the FBI is close to cracking the case, but yesterday was really weird because Fox cameras watched them and had them on video
digging into a manhole behind Nancy's house. I
Yeah,
don't know
like,
what that was about.
exactly.
I don't think we know. I mean, some reporting is that they were looking into the septic tank, Maria. I don't know why that would be, but apparently left empty-handed, having found nothing of interest. Of course, the most concerning thing from the beginning has been that the kidnappers have not, if indeed it is a kidnapping, have not offered any proof of life, leading some to think that something happened to Nancy Guthrie in her home. And that the kidnapping notes and so forth are mainly a scam. One item of interest is that the kidnappers in the latest note asked for $6 million in USD. And as someone pointed out, no American, very unlikely to use USD as a description. They would just say dollars, thinking that maybe this ransom note, alleged ransom note, comes from overseas, from scammers. I think this is just very disheartening for the family because it really seems like there's very little to go on here. And I thought,
but I think they have enough to go on that they just don't want to. They don't want to throw off anybody. Now I'm looking here. Nancy says, hit that like button, Jay, get a lot. She gives out prizes. I always give out prizes. Let me give some memberships, but I also want to talk to you guys about the, that's a huge deal about the power of attorney, because that means I'm looking at it right now and it says there are no real public filings of Tommaso actually being a power of attorney. And I saw that earlier. His name never appeared on any official filings. And it seems that Tommaso did those documents himself. Like he went on so there's no documents, no probate, no medical, no financial, no family statements, no law enforcement briefings. But what I did see is that there was a power of attorney. I saw the document, I saw the paper, but it was filled out incorrectly. So he accidentally switched the filings to say that she's his power of attorney, but it was never legal. So why would that happen? Do you think he was supposed to be the power of attorney? Because remember, they would be the people taking care of Nancy the most. Okay. And the reason I say they, Annie and Tommaso lived 10 minutes from Nancy? They would be the ones that would have the quote unquote burden to pick her up, drop her off, go check on her, blah, 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 blah. Now, did Tommaso say, shit, we're already taking care of this? Ish. We're already taking care of this old lady. I might as well just go online to, lawyer.com, whatever you call that, and make myself the power of attorney in case she slips and falls, in case she has a heart attack, then I can decide what to do. But the problem is in that document that he filled out for a power of attorney, it wasn't filed correctly, and he posted it in the opposite name. Is that not a motive enough? Anyway, let's keep going. I'm going to give some memberships. That's wild. I don't know why they're not talking about that.
that video really echoed that the family's disheartened. And the word celebrate really is usually used in the context of celebrating someone's life in a memorial service or something, not something that you would use to welcome someone back or save someone.
I pray that she's still alive, Cheryl. We all do. What's your takeaway, Cheryl?
A couple of things is that within this investigation, I mentioned in the last hour that you've got this mass proliferation on all these social media platforms of coverage. Now, on one hand, the sheriff is saying this is putting misinformation out into the public, and that's dangerous. On the other hand, I go back to the case of Gabby Petito, and that was back in 2021. And on YouTube, these two YouTubers found this image, and it had a white van in it.
Yes, and they actually solved that, right? They actually saw, I forgot all about that. The YouTubers went by and they saw the van, and that's how they ultimately knew where Gabby was, that they ultimately found the body. So us YouTube sleuths, and when I say us, you guys are all YouTube sleuthing, and I just gifted 5 memberships. So I hope that anyone, whoever wanted them, would get them. And Midnight Lace also matched a Guilty of Crime membership. Debbie did earlier, and I gifted 5 more. So I hope whoever wanted them got them. I had 2,500 people in here. I only got 400 likes. Come on, guys. All right, USD is not. Wait. Are you guys trying to tell? It's not odd to say when. Crypto. Okay, I'm not even going to get into the crypto conversation just yet. They asked for crypto because they feel like you can't trace it, but you can trace it. I've listened to whole conversations about once you send it off, they can trace it to the person that opens where there's absolute ways to do that. These people are out of their ever loving mind. And that's what was going on this weekend. Let's get back to this. She's right about the Gabby Petito thing. Totally forgot about that.
Turned out that eventually was the white van that Petito and her boyfriend were traveling in, and that discovery actually led to the body of Gabby Petito. So I think that, the sheriff is dealing with a very difficult situation. I was a little honestly frustrated. I know the sheriff is under a lot of pressure, but the fact that they had to go back and re-secure the scene. I'm with you, Maria. Having the FBI there, I think the technology and the power of the FBI is going to get us to a conclusion, whatever
absolutely.
that is, Maria.
Thank God the FBI is running this. Thank God for that.
I don't think she was kidnapped. We would have heard. Listen, there would have been a video.
Okay, so I wanted you guys. Why the Nancy? I put this up because I wanted you to see. This came out just minutes before I started streaming. Why a kidnapping just doesn't add up in this case? A kidnapping for crypto. Okay, so and crypto is just. I mean, it's just one of the ways of saying, I don't want to be able to trace it. You could have got anything, all right? They could have done any other thing, but I don't think they would have sent it to media. Let's listen to this, and then if you guys want, I'm still going back and forth. I mean, Tommaso Cioni lived a pretty quiet life. The most that we heard about him is that he liked to research lizards. He played the bass, and he's a freaking teacher, a soft-spoken teacher. I hear that he had a gambling issue, all right, but he's 50 years old. He's a science teacher, musician, and a writer. That also is against the law to make a fake power of attorney. And for them, the fake kidnappers to have the money, those are the things, or to have his text message to be able to say, here's the deal. So I have a lot of information on him and his journey, and nothing stands out much other than they're kind of a little bit of hippie-ish. They don't have a lot of money, and he was the last person to see Nancy alive. But let's listen why it's not adding up.
Video, there would have been a photograph, there would have been something, a lock of hair, a drop of blood, something mailed to somebody so they could verify, yes, in fact, these people have my mother. Kidnappers want to get paid quickly.
Yes.
They don't want this thing to linger
days and days.
If you're negotiating with another drug dealer in South America somewhere, it could go on for a few weeks, a month, until they get bored and decide this is not worth it. And it's either pay up or we're going to kill this person. And it's always a negotiation, right? The first figure they throw out is never what actually gets paid, like any good business deal.
Right. And everything about this kidnapping or ransom is completely opposite of what's typical. Ransom is not it's not. You're right. You're absolutely right. It could be a random scammer. And that's what we're trying to figure out. Is Nancy Guthrie even alive? And if so, does the family already know that she's no longer alive based on that last plead that Savannah came and said, we just want her back, not alive, not asking for proof of life. We'll pay, just give her back. All right. Anyway, I don't think this isn't adding up, and this guy's telling us why. Nancy Guthrie kidnap theory just doesn't add up, and her family should prepare for the worst.
There's going to be a negotiation, but it's going to be a fast and hard one.
Yep.
And there's been no negotiations.
Nope.
No one's called up and said, hey, where's my money? That has
No, the best thing that we could say, guys, is that they texted them and said, man, we're getting impatient, dude. Where's our money? Right? And that makes sense that somebody would say that. But then after that, it takes them 24 more hours to respond. They probably, that's what I thought. If you watch my very first episode, I thought that they offed her for the inheritance money. He thought that he was a power of attorney, and it started a kidnapped hoax based on Savannah's stature, right? All right, let's keep going.
Happen for the simple reason is nobody's kidnapped her. I don't think. If you're a good kidnapper, you're going to grab the medication on the way out the door, because you're going to have to take care of her. You're going to have to keep her alive and healthy, right?
And like I said, does anyone here, or is anyone picturing this? Are you guys picturing her sitting in a chair and they're giving her water and taking her pills and feeding her? And how's your circulation, dear? Just not seeing it, guys. I'm not.
So it shows a total lack of planning, the total lack of forensic evidence of anyone being in that house, of grabbing her, is another clue that she wasn't kidnapped. You know, you walk in somewhere, you're going to leave something. I don't care who you are. You're going to leave some DNA, some footprints, some fingerprints, blood if anyone gets cut on glass or whatever. You know, listen, the FBI is great at crime scene processing. They've been processing this thing for, what, 6, 7, 8 days.
And they went back and did that. They processed both sites again, which is odd because they originally called Nancy's house the crime scene. And then when they realized what the timing was, the timeline of it, what they told us, and the hoax kidnap thing, then they went back to Annie's house and continued for days and days. And if the presser doesn't come on right now, we're gonna go in and break down what the hell happened this weekend, because I think a lot of you guys might not realize what they actually did this weekend.
Days now, they've got nothing. If they had something, we'd have heard about it. The problem was it became public very quickly. And my guess is the Russians or Nigerians said, oh, hey, here's an opportunity to make a few dollars.
Damn.
We don't have a body. We don't have proof of anything. We're just going to hope that they panic and pay us. Her mother would be an attractive kidnap target, except for the fact that, well, you kidnap somebody like that and you better batten down the hatches because, man, everybody's coming for you. Yep. Everyone. The entire law enforcement apparatus of Arizona is in gear. The FBI, probably ATF, probably DEA. Everyone's jumping on this bandwagon. I mean, there's probably 500 people assigned to this case right now. I don't think
this is one of the most high-profile cases that we've ever had, and it's because, in my opinion, because Savannah Guthrie's, everyone knows her.
Anybody in position of authority believes she's alive at this point. And no one wants to say it publicly. This is the problem, right? Listen, when you see the FBI on the roof a week later and helicopters have been filming that roof for nonstop for 7 days, we're reaching. They got nothing else to do.
And the luminol, people still think they were spraying luminol in Annie's house. If that's the case, then there's a second crime scene and they know it. All right. Yeah, there's kidnapping specialists. They got lots and lots of resources on this one.
Nothing left. And someone said, hey, get up on the roof, take a look again. Well, I'm sure somebody did take a look for cell phones or any evidence of someone coming off the roof after she came home. Great place to hide, right? I mean, all the technology we have turned up nothing. A lot of that is because she lives in an area that has light pollution issues and they don't want lights. So ring cameras don't work. Surveillance cameras don't work. I mean, they've got nothing. They've got no film. They got no evidence that she was taken by anybody at this point, other than some hokey ransom letters, which aren't saying anything except send us money to this untraceable account.
Exactly.
I think, unfortunately, it's going to end badly. Mrs. Guthrie's probably going to be found deceased somewhere. I doubt she walked off and someone picked her up and they're eating tea and cupcakes somewhere in Arizona area.
And like I said, guys, you know me, typically after 48 hours, 48 and 72 hours is the most crucial. The crime scene was originally messed up. They let people step on it. Those were the most important. Can you imagine what Annie and Tommaso are thinking allegedly if they offed her? Oh, you know what I'm thinking? When I see the video, every single video, Annie looks like a deer in headlights. She looks scared, but she looks like Jen Soto scared. She doesn't look scared for her mom. She looks like, oh shit, I didn't think this was going to gain national attention so fast, and they're going to come searching my house. Ashley Banfield said her people said the police found blood in the house. Oh, I'm going to show you. We're going to get to that, Heather. But thank you. You guys, I love you in chat. Mabster, good to see you, buddy. I got to watch some of your things earlier. I gifted 5 memberships. Hopefully, whoever wanted them got them. All right, let's keep going.
Yeah, I very much doubt it. I mean, she has medical issues. I think if she was taken, we'd pretty much know for sure at this point she was really taken. There'd be some forensic evidence to help indicate that happened. Because the feds aren't talking about it, I'm pretty sure there's no forensic evidence indicating she was kidnapped at all. I hope I'm wrong. I really do. It doesn't bother me to be wrong. Seldom am I wrong.
All right. And we believe you, buddy. We do. We believe you. Let's pull that down. And again, I'll come back on here. There's absolutely nothing going on. I'm checking Dolly Vision. He's live, but he's just staring at the house. There's nothing happening. Hold on. That's what's happening. And then I'll show you on Dolly Vision. And then we can continue, hopefully, so I can present the case that I have for you today, because the deadlines came and passed, guys. It looks like Dolly even quit. Dolly's done. Dolly's there and done. Let me show you. All right, so this is what JLR has been doing for hours. This. Just walking, looking, nothing. People leaving, getting dark. Just one frame. Chat's chatting. Nothing's happening. Same old. All right, now I'm going to stop this. And I'll show you Dolly's last. He's gone too. He said, I guess they're not paying. Let me show you. Normally I wouldn't go on his live stream, but there's Dolly. Dolly Vision is live from Nancy Guthrie, boots on the ground. This is what happened.
Big ass drone.
Nothing. Like.
To show you jails at $20 a night, but you'll probably get stabbed. Oh Lord, I don't want that. Maybe to help out with some flowers. Well, thank you, Pat. So I think I'm gonna get ready to wrap it up here, and I may be back out here streaming live later, but I want to go ahead and go find me a hotel and be able to go to Walmart. So listen, guys, if you haven't yet, sub up the channel, ring the bell for notifications. And that way, because when I go live, it could be them arresting somebody. It could be them kicking up in the house. You just don't know. So definitely sub up the channel. And we will be here, again later tonight, and probably bright.
So they never showed up. Nothing happened. You guys should definitely follow Dolly and support him and all that stuff, because he's boots on the ground out there. But we do need to not only find Nancy Guthrie and bring her body home, but find out who did it. One of the family is guilty. My money's on the older sister. She doesn't know how to hide her face. So let me show you something. About that. And then you're going to see what happened over the weekend at her house. Now, this is fake. Thank you for sending it to me, Kathy. But be careful when you're doing your channel. When you put something out, just be careful what you put out. Because, hold on. This is not true at all. Annie Guthrie arrested in the Nancy Guthrie case. It's more clickbait. She didn't get arrested. Search warrant at her home raises questions. That's today at 4:52 in the morning. Over a week after Savannah Guthrie's mother went missing, police searched her sister, Annie Guthrie, and Tommaso Sione's house. No suspect still named. They got her in this picture not being able to hide her face very well, but she did not. It's kind of clickbaity, but no, she didn't get arrested. Right? NBC show host Savannah Guthrie's mother went missing from her home in Pima County. The search for 84-year-old took a fresh turn on Sunday as police searched the residence of Annie Guthrie. All right, Savannah's elder sister. Now, the search at Annie Guthrie's house comes just days after News Nation journalists said Annie's husband, Tommaso Cioni, could be the suspect in the case. However, as of now, officials in Pima County have not named any suspect after Sunday's search. Today's what, Monday? The role of Annie Guthrie has taken center stage with doubts lingering on the nature of the investigation. Many are wondering if Annie or Tommaso would be arrested. In this article, we'll take a look at the investigation. Will Annie Guthrie be arrested? As of now, officials have not taken Annie Guthrie into custody or arrested her. Police conducted a marathon search at the residence, which Annie and Tommaso purchased recently, reportedly for $650,000. Annie and Tommaso's house is a 10-minute drive from Nancy Guthrie's. The search lasted for several hours, TMZ reported, while waiting outside. It appeared the search was related to evidence collection, as News Nation journalists reported that the investigators could be seen photographing in the rooms. Some local reporters also claimed the investigators opened a septic tank. We saw that. Additionally, TMZ reported that investigators were seen carrying a briefcase into the house, but it was unclear what it was related to. Sunday, yesterday's search marks the second time the residence was raided in connection with Nancy Guthrie's missing case. Earlier on Saturday, police took the couple's car for probe and removed the security cameras from their house. What's next in the probe? The next step in the case would be identification of a suspect based on the evidence collected in the past week. Earlier, a ransom note demanding $6 million surfaced. Family made a video. They agreed to pay. We all waited. Nobody showed up. Nothing. Authorities haven't confirmed the authenticity of the note. FBI specialist in charge, Heath Jank, told reporters that they're in communication with the family, and while we advise and recommend from a law enforcement perspective, any action taken on a ransom is ultimately decided by the family. All right, so nobody's arrested, nothing's changed, nothing's been named. All right, now let's keep going and let's take a look at what happened this weekend. This is going to give you a recap. This came out also hours ago. And I have been following News Nation, not only News Nation, but why did I just Ashley Banfield? It's because she's on Drop Dead now. All right, let's listen to what happened.
Everyone, I'm Ashley Banfield, and this is Drop Dead Serious, and I'm recording this on Sunday night, February 8th, and so this is the 7-day mark. 7 days ago, Nancy Guthrie, the mother of today's show co-host Savannah Guthrie, was officially reported missing, and it has been a week, right? It's been a week. Instead of clarity in this case, I think it's fair to say the case has taken a pretty sharp turn. There's been alleged ransom demands all week long, different ones, some resolution to one at least.
But I want you guys to realize there's still stuff going behind the scenes, all right? They're still out there right now behind the scenes setting up shop. And I'm continuing to watch it. So if you stay here with me, Jay, from Guilty of Crime, I'm going to stay here and hang out for longer, show you exactly what happened this weekend with the searches. Lisa says the brother-in-law dropped off at 2:30 a.m., heart monitor disconnected. It's likely he did it or let someone take her. Thank you so much for the $5 super chat. And I agree. I think there's a third person involved in this case. I don't know if it's a kidnapping at this point. She could be in Mexico. You're right. But once you hear what happened this weekend, it might change your mind a bit about who the main suspects are.
no resolution to the other ones. Law enforcement activity across this case has intensified. It's been on, it's been off, it's been on, it's been off. And that was the day again today and yesterday. Signals that something significant actually might be unfolding, but behind the scenes, right? I'm going to walk you through everything that happened this weekend because the facts alone in this case are enough to raise serious questions. And this isn't about theorizing or sleuthing. This is just about what has happened and what is happening in this.
And that's what I wanted you to know because I was confused over the weekend, guys. I didn't have anything to really do this weekend. I mean, I went and hung out with Mama Pearl. We went shopping at the mall, blah, blah, blah. But I was stuck. I was stuck to the breaking news to find out what was happening. And so much happened this weekend. That's why I want you to hear this. This is not sleuthing. These are just straight up facts about what happened right now and the evidence that they've given us. What's up, Truth Seeker Jacqueline? How you doing, my friend? Good to see you. All right, let's continue.
Case, and there's a lot. This weekend has been extraordinarily busy. And I think one of the strange things is the amount of activity at night. That's not normal. Typically, when we're on location, and I've spent a lot of years in the field, you know, things quieten down at night. That's when sort of the security comes in and, you know, people keep a watch on crime scenes or areas of interest. But there's not usually a ton of investigative work that goes on at night. Not this weekend. That is not at all what happened this week. In fact, in this episode, I'm going to walk you through a few very unusual things that happened. So for starters, they're starting to pull surveillance video from places in between Nancy's home and Annie's home. They're about 4 miles or so apart. I'll tell you who, why, and who actually pulled the video. It matters. Also, Savannah herself with her siblings released a short video on Instagram, and it was cryptic. Some people didn't pick up right away on what felt like a very sad.
Now, listen up, Leon. Here's the thing. If that's true about the power of attorney, that was literally them trying to, and I say them because that's her husband. She's been married. Annie Guthrie has been married to Tommaso for a real long time. I'm looking at the relationship status here, and they've been married since 2006. That's 20 years. I've been together with my wife for also 20 years. And when you're with somebody for 20 years, you do gain the trust of the family. But I'll tell you right now, if Mrs. Guilty went to my mom and went and knocked next door and filled out some power of attorney paperwork, I sure as F would shut that down and be like, you're a fraud. But what I'm telling you is Annie has to be in sync with Tommaso. So if that's true about the power of attorney, then it was him them fraudulently trying to gain access to her money and her assets. 15 years for you? What is it? What do you mean? So they were together. I'm looking at this document that says Annie Guthrie has been married to Tommaso since 2006. Did I do the math wrong? Anyway, I'm not sure what I missed. Let's keep going.
Message that they want to be reunited with their mother to celebrate. Others have picked up that they feel like that's a dire message, that things may not be what they had hoped. But again, cryptic, and it's for you to decide. But I will play that for you, and you can, weigh in how you want to. Fascinatingly, all this activity at Annie Guthrie's house late last night, and for 3 hours. And photographs being taken in the darkness and agents gloved and all the rest. I'm going to tell you all the things that we know about that new search that was being done at that home and why and what time and the uniqueness of it.
And this is all I wanted to know today. If I could have just not watched breaking news all damn day and just listened to this, I'd have been happy as a clam. This is everything I want and more in one small episode of what they were doing at the person's house that last seen Nancy alive, right? Frosted says 19 years, almost 20, depending on the month of the marriage. There you go. Well, I've been together. I'll be 21 years in July. So I can do a little bit of math. All right. She's obviously not alive. The media can go home now. Y'all are staying here all year. Yep, we're going to stay there all year, right, Mab? Right. All right, let's go.
As well as ransom letter details, or at least alleged ransom letter details. A TV station posted some of these details and then pulled it back, but not before it got out and it made its rounds. And so we now know some of the details of what these alleged ransom seekers may be seeking. You know, I think there's a lot to be said about the uniqueness, right? Ask anybody who's been in the business of the FBI or of hostage negotiations or kidnap for ransom business. This is not like all the others. It's very unusual. So I say alleged, you know, ransom letters because I'm not entirely convinced these.
And I'm saying alleged too because I see that the family allegedly said they want to sue Ashley Banfield for pointing out that Tommaso was a person of interest. And so we just want to keep it clear. And you know what, Matthew? I want to tell you something. It is scary that they say there are no suspects, but you know what else is scary? Is that they tell us there's no suspects, but you know what else they tell us? Is that none of us in the public or in the neighborhood have anything to worry about. How do those two go hand in hand? How is there not a suspect? Some 84-year-old lady, there's blood on her porch, some hoaxy kidnapping thing, but nobody in the neighborhood or nearby has to worry. So was it a ghost and you can't arrest a ghost? I don't get it. That makes zero sense. If it doesn't make sense, it's not true. All right, let's keep going.
These are true. I think these are scammers overseas, more than likely trying to, parasitically get in on something and try and make some money.
Way.
And then really interesting.
No way are they gonna. So it would. Okay, listen. If someone hadn't to come in and tried to do this scam, hoax, whatever, and they just found Nancy and they found her body, declared her dead, everything went perfect. An inheritance can take 6 months to a year or longer if they suspect there's foul play within the family. All right. But because this whole hoax thing came in, now nobody's getting shit. I'll tell you that.
I'm going to show you some pictures a little bit, explain about some underground probing that was going on behind Nancy Guthrie's house today. A lot of talk about what kind of underground tanks these were. I'm going to get into it with you all in a minute. First, though, I've been a broadcast journalist for
we know
some comments that got people who are following this case very invested, right? He specifically referred to the Nancy Guthrie case and said this. I'm going to read, right? We have some clues that are very strong, and I think we could have some answers coming up fairly soon. I'm not talking about a search. I'm talking about a solution.
Ooh.
We have some things I think that will maybe come out reasonably soon from FBI, DOJ, or whoever that could be definitive. A lot has taken place in the last couple of hours. That had people thinking there's movement here because, not only were the words definitive used, but also agents showed up at Annie Guthrie's home late into the evening on Saturday.
That's what we're going to talk about. Y'all are going to be like, oh, why didn't I know about this? Sane. What's up? What? Laugh and smile after this is all resolved. At this point, the particular coverage is stomach churn and frankly throwing the credibility of both of you. Oh, wow. So we shouldn't laugh or smile when we're covering true crime. I think you're on the wrong channel, but see you later. You can't present true crime every single day and not smile, laugh, or communicate with the audience. So Marlo, you're on the wrong channel, my friend. I'll make sure I take you out of this channel so you never find us again, okay? All right, cool. Deal. Let's go.
Night. And there was a video released by Savannah Guthrie as well. So there was some thought that there was like activity. And what I can tell you happened throughout Saturday. Let's just take it, as the weekend progressed. Saturday, 2 different companies, they confirmed that the FBI had come to ask them for their surveillance video. So a Chevron gas station and a Circle K. And again, these are businesses that are found sort of within the vicinity between Nancy Guthrie's home and Annie Guthrie's home, again, about 4 or so miles between them. So it's interesting to hear that at least those 2 companies, my feeling is that it's probably not just 2 companies. Typically law enforcement fans out everywhere. They go to every single place that might have a video running, including.
And you're absolutely right, Phil Sperling. We were talking all day at work about this case and politics in general. And if we walk around covering true crime 5 to 7 days a week, and we can't talk about it amongst our guilty of crime family and be able to make fun of the people, the suspects or the killers, or have a personality, yes, very dark times, then I don't want anything to do with it if that's the case. All right. Yeah, looking great for 21. Yeah, thank you. 46, baby. 46. You say human remains were found, Midnight Lace? I saw that earlier, but it was wrong. Let me look into it. Thank you, Minnie Winnie. I appreciate that. Yeah, we can't talk about true crime every day and just be like all sad and pissed off. No, never mind. All right, I'm gonna take a look at that, Midnight Lace. Let me see what you're referring to.
A Tesla, right? If a Tesla is parked in a driveway or even on the street in that vicinity, they'll come and knocking and ask, can we see if you maybe have one of those features on your Tesla that grabs video as movement goes by? But we do know of those too. And then we learned about this new video that Savannah Guthrie released on her Instagram. It's very sad watching these three siblings who clearly are appearing in pain as they appeal to whomever it is.
Yeah, somebody sent me an article like that earlier, and it was fake. It was clickbait. So Midnight Lace, you know my email. We talk. If you want to send me something that shows breaking news, they found remains, but I did see that already. So why don't you email me? And then I don't want to give out misinformation. And right now, we're not theorizing. I'm just letting you see exactly what happened this weekend. It was live. Can you send me a link, Midnight Lace? Thank you. You know how much I appreciate you. I appreciate that. Even the news media, I'm looking at the news media in front of the house. I know Dolly's laughing. You see JLR out there. Not at the situation, but if you don't laugh, you'll end up crying. And you guys don't want to see me on here crying every day. No one wants to come on a true crime channel where you're all serious every second. If that's the case, then just go straight to Fox News or, Grizzly True Crime if you don't want to see my face smiling. Just saying. I haven't heard that yet, but we're looking. I'm going to play this so you can hear the evidence that they collected this weekend at Annie and Tommaso's house. And I'll look around for breaking news.
Sending these messages, these ransom or communication notes through the media. It is just so unorthodox in terms of the business of kidnap for ransom, because that is a business, folks. It's a global business, and they're not operating the way most do. But Savannah released this short, and I'm going to let you weigh in on the wording of it. But a lot of people in the business of sleuthing through the FBI, people who've worked in law enforcement who deal with kidnap for ransom or hostages, have said that this language seemed very coded and very specific. But here's how she coded her message, how she said her message as she holds the hands of her siblings.
We received your message and we understand. We beg you now to return our mother to us so that we can celebrate with her. This is the only way we will have peace. This is very valuable to us, and we will pay.
Obviously, you've heard from law enforcement that they have to take all of these things seriously, right? You get ransom demands in, you have to investigate it. And if this all turns out to be, this parasite, these sideshows, these people who are trying to glom on and steal from crime victims, God, I hope they find them. Boy, and I hope they throw the book at them. We've got one allegation against a guy in California who had made his missives allegedly directly to Annie Guthrie and her husband, and he's been arrested. He's facing serious charges. But so far, there's no other news or announcements from law enforcement that they have traced who might be behind these other. First was ransom, second was communications. That's how it's being characterized. And again, very little communication that seems to be open for the Guthrie family to communicate back. And so this is how Savannah and her siblings are releasing their communications to whomever it is that's doing this. But it's very upsetting to hear, we want our mother back so that we can, that.
Right. And so far I'm not seeing anything. I'm looking everywhere, but I will promise if that's the case, I will let you know. You're saying it's true. They found her body. Or what are we saying? Yeah, I'm still trying to figure that out. What I am looking at right now, CNN live stream as well. Okay, I'll take a look. They quoted the mother of they quoted that yeah, I told you guys earlier about this, that Nancy Guthrie's church attendance, she never went there. So we don't know why the Annie Guthrie or Tommaso, whoever found her, why they would say that. Yes, I did not like that. Okay, so we haven't found anything yet. Okay, I'll keep looking because let's find out what happened this weekend. But again, one more thing to show you that Nancy hadn't been to church in years, and they did not monitor whether she was or not. So why somebody called for a welfare check because she didn't go to church makes no sense. All right, let's keep going.
We can celebrate with her. It's unusual wording, and we will pay. This is important to us.
I haven't heard anything either.
And to the point about the typical modus operandi of a kidnapper, I want to read you something from Lee Wallace. She goes by Lawyer Lee on Twitter. She's been a trial attorney for 30 years, Harvard law grad. She says, Nancy Guthrie's case makes so little sense to me as a kidnapping. As a lawyer, I've been involved in many high-profile cases, and they are way more complicated because of the media presence. Kidnappers usually ask for privacy and secrecy. It would make no sense to kidnap the mom of a media celebrity because you're getting the opposite. So I think very insightful. Once again, how many times have you seen, even in the movies, you involve the police and game over, right? Okay, so Saturday night, just a flurry of activity 4 miles down the road from Nancy Guthrie's home.
Yeah, so there's one YouTuber, and his name is Classy, and that's the only thing I can find. He says, breaking news: human remains found near Nancy Guthrie's home. It has 53,000 views, but I only got 2 minutes into it, and it really doesn't have anything to do with Nancy Guthrie at all. So anyway, I'll keep looking. Let's keep going.
Crime scene from which Nancy Guthrie was abducted at Annie Guthrie's home. There were 3 vehicles that showed up. They were unmarked, white vehicles, parked, and multiple sheriff's deputies went into the house, but not before some of the reporters who were outside noticed a couple of very important things. First and foremost, one of them appeared to be pulling out some it's hard to say whether it was a very thin, wide.
So do you see that they're pulling out things from Annie and Tommaso's house? Why would they do that? And I think that too. I've had since day one, guys. I don't let my feelings go unknown. In my opinion, the daughter and the son-in-law did it. Me too. So I'm going to stay on that until we hear otherwise. But look they're taking stuff out of the house. They did it for hours. They questioned them multiple times. Tommaso's staying clear of things. And there's a connection to the ransom in their text messages. Make that make sense.
Large case, or whether it was a folding white table. To me, it looked like a folding white table, but it could have been a thin white or silver case. And it wasn't long before all of a sudden the reporters outside noticed that they weren't turning all the lights on when they went into this dark home, and it's late in the evening into the night. But there were some lights going on towards the back of the house and then going off. But then there were flash bulbs, what appeared to be flash bulbs going off, as though there were photographs being taken inside this dark home that did not appear to be occupied by the Guthrie family. Interesting because of the hour that this happened. And I know there's a lot of speculation online. So many people are saying that's because luminol, you see it in the darkness. I'm not so sure that that's the right leap to make, only because nowhere do we see any of these law enforcement officers with Tyvek suits or any kind of forensic clothing. And that's usually.
And so that's what I wanted to tell you when I had heard about that. People saying that they were spraying. And as much as I would like for them to have been spraying luminol, that's correct. I absolutely don't think they were spraying luminol. I think the flashes were the pictures, and the darkness was it was not luminol because of that. That's a typical scene. If you're going to do a forensic testing like that, turn the lights out, you're going to be in a Tyvek suit or a suit where your hair, your things, and we didn't see any of that. Now, they might have had that on inside, but they don't just get undressed and do that just so the media doesn't see. Thank you. It's just clickbait. It's okay, Midnight Lace. It's clickbait. I saw that earlier too, and I was like, really? Nah.
Usually what you would see if there's luminol testing going on, you would see people draped, and we didn't see them going in with big bags that they could change inside either. So it is a really curious development. And what's even more curious maybe was that they were in there for 3 hours, about 3 hours. Very long time for these multiple officers to be inside. And again, these flashes going off as though it was flash photography in the dark, dark house. Then eagle-eyed reporters, Brian Enton among them, and Michael Ruiz from Fox News noticed that when at least one of those deputies came out, you could see clearly insignia of the sheriff's department, not the FBI. And one of them was wearing blue latex gloves. Very interesting. And carrying a paper bag. Evidence bags come in all types of shapes and sizes, and oftentimes they can look like brown paper bags as well. This was not, it didn't appear to me to be sealed, but the sheriff's deputy was carrying the brown paper bag as well as that big white folding table or thin silver.
And I do think it was a folding table. They were using that to put whatever evidence so they didn't contaminate it, etc. All right. So let's keep going. I mean, I keep looking back at what was left there. Her cell phone was left at home and is now in the possession of authorities. They don't even know if it's kidnapping. We do know that the blood on the porch was hers. They say there's no suspects of interest, but at the same time, they show a car being towed away from Nancy's house and then FBI going back. And we're seeing now is them going back a second time to Annie's house. And then Nancy Guthrie's health. They say she's sharp as a tack, but limited mobility, and she needs daily medication. So as I look at this, I'm like, they literally said she is mobile, but it's challenging for her to get even 50 yards by herself. She has a pacemaker, and that's typically implanted under your skin, and it has disconnected at 2 a.m. They're saying she lives in constant pain. If she's without any medicine, she needs it to survive. She needs it to not suffer. I don't know. Let's keep going. I don't think she's alive, and I don't think that this was planned correctly. Something's off. I don't even think that this is a kidnapping. I think they're trying to get what they can at this point, and she's no longer with us.
Or, case of some kind. So just a fascinating development. And then they all pulled out without talking to any of the press there, but the press stayed. And there were a lot of press because, again, this was around 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night. It's an unusual time to be doing this kind of forensic processing, if that's what they're doing, especially on day 7, very unusual of this disappearance and this mystery. So another thing that deputies were observed on location, they had large maps affixed to the side of a truck. And that's not so unusual. If you look at them, I can't tell exactly, but they appear to be consistent with like property records, maybe land surveys of this area, parcel maps, maybe that kind of thing, just trying to help investigators get a lay of the land for the neighborhood.
Now think about this as well. Think about this. Yeah, they do need to find her, and I absolutely believe it's an inside job. I think the daughter and the son-in-law. What else did they find and bring out of that house? Did they find that power of attorney document that was filled out incorrectly and never filed? And yes, nothing was stolen either. So this was not a home invasion to, steal whatever they could. They didn't take anything. They left blood almost like it was a trail. Very sad. I do hope she's found soon. And I don't even want to put my head in that space of thinking that this would happen to my mom or yours or anybody's mom. This is terrible.
Neighbors. And, this is very rough terrain outside of Nancy Guthrie's home. And outside Annie Guthrie's home. It's very rough. It's thick.
Remember, they're about 10 minutes apart. So they're probably taking the brunt of taking care of actually Nancy's needs. And they're closest in proximity to have access to her. Okay, let's keep going.
And there are cacti, and it's rugged. It's, for lack of a better word, sort of rugged desert. Not easy to walk through, very prickly and dangerous, and there's probably wildlife you got to be careful of. But there's been a lot of activity. And I keep going back to Monday. Why was the search called off Monday? you know, we're 30 hours into this disappearance. No need to search. Search is permanently disbanded unless or until we need to do something. Why? It's so odd, so soon after this mysterious disappearance of Nancy Guthrie, that there'd be no officers fanning out in these back rugged desert areas behind these houses. But the maps are out now, and we don't know exactly what they're looking for, but
there's a lot of resources and they've got to have something. Now, they just put out another article and all it says is FBI says it's not aware of any continued communication between the Guthrie family and the suspected kidnappers. Now, guys, I've been telling you, if you look at the timeline that we looked at earlier, it takes them about a day to get back to the family. So the family will put a message out and the next 24 hours they'll respond. Then it takes a whole nother day for the family to say something and to get a response. But they're not seeing any kind of continued, like, hey, we want our $6 million and here's where we send it to. That they're not seeing any of that. And nothing has happened. That's why there's no one out. The media's at the house, but nothing's going on because nothing happened. Nobody said, hey, this is your deadline. I'm going to take her life. They're ready to pay. But the kidnappers haven't given them anywhere to pay to, is what they're saying. All right. Yeah, she was 84 years old. Absolutely.
it certainly did start to make a little bit more sense because Sunday, we started to see very specific activity. Okay. So the specific activity that we saw behind Nancy Guthrie's house was agents finding what looked like, for lack of a better description, a manhole cover, a tank cover, could be a septic tank cover, water tank cover, and they removed it. I would say it's probably 2 feet in diameter, big.
And guys, we don't know if they found any evidence down there either. They're not letting us know. Has it been confirmed only Nancy, Annie, and Tommaso were at dinner? They didn't. I don't know. You guys might want to, if anyone knows that. Yeah, I don't know. They haven't said any of that. But what they are saying is that the only communication that anyone's had so far has been with the family communicating through social media. They've never gone directly at, thank you, Phil. I appreciate that. They've never gone directly to a family member to ask for a ransom, except for the guy that was arrested that directly texted Annie and Tommaso. Other than that, the family goes to the public, pleas for help, and the kidnappers respond only to social media and news stations. They are not directly connected with any of the family members at this point. So what's the point of it? Yeah, they say there's no continued communication. The only communication is the family pleading to the kidnappers. And then the kidnappers go to the media and respond about a day later. All right. So that's what's happening right now.
Very big. And they began to probe with a big, long probe down into this underground tank. So a lot of speculation, what kind of tanks were those? I saw a lot of people talking about septic tanks, some people talking about water tanks. Let me tell you a little bit about what I know about that. Not the definitive source on this at all, but I have a septic tank up in Canada, and I grew up with septic tanks up in Canada. Michael Ruiz from Fox actually queried the neighborhood and found out from that neighborhood that those properties are not on the septic system, and so everybody has their own septic systems and their septic tanks in their on their property. But a lot of people have cisterns too, water tanks.
And that's another thing law enforcement is denying. Now, Cheeky, it was absolutely said on day one, the first 24 hours, that there were cameras missing from the house that were smashed. But then when we listened to the press conference or read the article, law enforcement said that's not true. But that's also why I ask you, Cheeky, and the entire audience, what red herrings are in this case? Because we know they're there. There's absolutely red herrings, and for a reason. All right. And that's another thing, Mom's channel. Who called the welfare check if she didn't go to church anymore when they can't see her through the Zoom? They don't know if she's gone to church in the last 5 years if she's been on Zoom because they can't track it backwards. Mom's channel. That's like me saying, If Mab doesn't drop a comment, I would never know that Mab was in my chat. Whoever's in the background hating on my smiling, my laughing, my smoking, I don't know who's back there because they're not commenting. Same with her attending church. They didn't know. You not find out who owns a wallet till they take out the money.
And I think at least one report and a photograph that I saw earlier this week showed what appeared to be like a water truck, almost like a water delivery truck that may have been in the Nancy Guthrie's direct property area. Some people wondered if it was a pumper truck for septic. No, they're usually a lot bigger and they're not so see-through. This one was white and it looked more like a water truck. So it is possible that this was a cistern or a well or a water, an underground water tank. Also very, very possible that it is a septic tank. And the reason I know about
I'm not sure what I missed there, Connie. February 12th, Connie will be gone 2 years. Prayers for you have Connie. Was that a daughter or a child? Anyways, prayers to you as always. For anybody that needs them. Yeah, I don't know what I missed, but thank you for the super chat and let me know. Chat's moving real fast, so I'm doing my best here. And I'm trying to find breaking news just in case.
Septic tanks with larger openings is because over the course of several years, the debris will build up in the bottom, right? The sludge, the sediment, and you'll eventually have to get that out. A lot of the runoff, the water off the top, the gray water, et cetera, will run into the septic fields if you have a field, but that the sediment will fall to the bottom and eventually it will be too high. You got to get it out. So there are septic tanks that you can actually climb down into. My sister has one, and this could be one. I don't know, but I was fascinated when I saw that because I was hearkening back to the case of Jennifer Dulos 6 years ago now, May 24th. And Jennifer Dulos disappeared. Her husband, Fotis Dulos, took his own life before he could be convicted of any crime against her, but it's widely thought that he murdered her. And her body was never found. Mother of 5. But they did look in the septic tanks at Fotis Dulos's property. And I remember that well because they were looking everywhere. They had found evidence of her death. Bloody clothes and clasps and rags and
sorry guys,
that kind of evidence that was thrown out in various garbage cans all along a street in Hartford, Connecticut. But they looked into the septic tank. And I will also tell you this, I covered a case in New Mexico. Cody Posey murdered his father, stepmother, and stepsister, and then piled their bodies into manure. And there was a lot of testimony on the stand from experts who said that decomposition would be light speed because of the heat from the manure. So oftentimes this is a thought. If you dispose of a body in septic or manure, that the decomposition is far quicker. Maybe that.
And I haven't been just sitting there watching if they have dogs. Have you guys heard of any of it? Do they have cadaver dogs when they were searching? I know they've got drones and law enforcement and FBI. I'm just not sure if I didn't see any this weekend. If you're looking for a depression session, this ain't the place to be. Go to counseling. Most people try to lighten the mood in the best way possible. It's all we can do in this is ish. Agreed, Panda. And good to see you, my friend. How you doing? Yeah, we're not gonna sit there and cry about it. We want to get the word out. Is Nancy Guthrie still alive? She needs help. The family needs help, and the only way we can do that and help get the word out is by broadcasting this. But we're not going to sit there crying all day.
That's what they were thinking when they were probing down in this tank behind Nancy Guthrie's house. But that was a pretty big development today. And it's also just very disturbing because I think many of us are desperate to have a positive resolution in this case, that Nancy Guthrie will come home to her family. She's an 84-year-old woman. She has mobility problems. She has health issues. She's been without her medication for a week, life-saving medication that was needed. So it's just hard to see probing like that.
This was late last night, so it's been almost 2 weeks, guys.
But it's what they have to do. Again, I go back to why wasn't that?
Oh, we're on week 2, so yeah, she was missing on the 31st, and today is February 9th.
On Monday, why weren't they searching Monday? Why did they call off the search Monday? What did they know Monday? What did they know Monday that they said nothing more to see here?
That's what I want.
Off permanently until or unless it's warranted. Something else that happened today, I think it was not supposed to happen, but it did happen. Local TV station KGUN published details of one of these alleged ransom demands, right? And then they removed the post, actually. They pulled back the reporting, but not before it was disseminated widely and reported on. And the detail that came out today that was different that we didn't know was that these alleged kidnappers were demanding a final payout by 5:00 p.m. on Monday, February 9th. That would be tomorrow. And if that demand wasn't met, there'd be dire circumstances. Her life would be in danger. And that the payout had to be $6 million. in Bitcoin. So
does anyone think that this is multiple hoaxes going on, people looking at the case and trying to get in on it? Wendy says, I'm still hoping for a good outcome, but it's looking pretty slim. My prayers are with Savannah. Thank you for saying that. Absolute prayers for, first of all, Nancy Guthrie, for whatever she's gone through, whatever she's going through, and then the family members. All right. What's up, Jumpa? It's good to see you, my friend. Yes, this is live. We're still, oh, no. What we're watching was live from the weekend. It's not live right now. Nothing's happening right now that I can tell. Let me know. I'll check CNN again, though. What's up, Jumpa? It's good to see you and your pretty face, my friend. All right. I haven't been able to sleep since day one. My heart is so broken. I'm right there with you. I mean, I've been able to sleep, but all weekend, all day, I've been obsessing over this case, to be honest with you, because it just hits so close to home. I love my mom and I'm close to her. She's 71. And if this type of thing happened to my mom, I would be out of my mind, upset, mad, sad. And if anyone pointed the finger at me, I would get on social media and I would combat that. I would not sit there and just be like, oh, that's okay if you're blaming me. Hell no, I wouldn't think that was okay. You think they're all fake? TMZ has a video of canine dogs on you. Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. Yes, prayers to bring her home. You think she never made it home, huh? A possibility.
those were two details we had not heard before, that the ransom demand was $6 million. There's another series of reports that had suggested that the prior deadline of Thursday last week was $4 million. If you miss that deadline, it goes up to $6 million on Monday. I can't verify that report. That was part of additional reporting. I think the New York Post had some details about that, but KGUN's reporting that they pulled off the internet did say $6 million in Bitcoin by 5 o'clock Monday. Also, early Sunday morning, February 8th is 1 week exactly from when Mrs. Guthrie was first reported missing. Do you remember? The story went that she didn't show for church and that friends from church contacted the Guthrie family, who came to do a wellness check. And within 7 minutes, they were calling 911. Saw blood possibly on the front entrance. My source said a door left open in the back door, and other things that were obviously frightening enough to call 911 right away. I'm going to get to that in just a moment, because there is some oddity to the church report, and I'll describe that in a moment. But I'm not convinced that Mrs. Guthrie goes to church. There's reporting that she hasn't gone to church.
That's why we need to listen to this, because that part right there says a lot. And I'm laughing / smiling because I just found a clip of the very first note that they put out to the family put to the kidnapper, and they literally are saying that Savannah Guthrie's sister seemed to fall asleep. Now, I think she was like closing her eyes and praying. You can see her breathing up and down, but a lot of people are starting to cover these cases and the analysis. And boy, do I want to watch them with you. I mean, I'm telling you, the sudden behavioral shift has been exposed. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. It's the most wild thing. All right, let's continue this. I don't want to jump too far. I'm looking at other things back and forth, and guys, I just, if law enforcement is not looking at them as suspects, if they're saying that, I think they're just telling us that because they don't want people attacking, approaching them, running, etc.
Church physically since the pandemic.
No way.
So how would anybody know that she hadn't gone to church? Get to that in a second. But this morning, Sunday morning, the sheriff's deputies showed up again. Sheriff's vehicle came and drove perpendicular to the entrance of Nancy Guthrie's driveway, blocking it. That's the first time we've seen that happen. Look, they cordoned it off. They've put up crime scene tape before. That's happened. That's not unusual. But today, the sheriff's deputy blocked off Nancy Guthrie's driveway. And also, another unusual occurrence, but maybe not so unusual. I'm surprised we haven't seen it every day, actually.
Right.
So the Guthries have hired private security for both Nancy Guthrie's home and Annie Guthrie's home. And those people have been posting outside these.
And it also makes me wonder, guys, I got to tell you, law enforcement is smart. And I'm sure that Savannah Guthrie is real keen. She's a news person. Once you start thinking like that, you can't stop thinking like that. Does anyone else, now that I'm saying it, connect the two? Do you think that the security is outside the home? Obviously, for Savannah, she's a high profile figure. But do you think that Savannah was smart enough and law enforcement was smart enough to say, we're going to give you guys security, but we're going to do it at both homes? That way they can also keep an eye on Annie and Tommaso because they have them covered too. You guys tell me. Now that's me speculating. And in this video, I'm not speculating with Ashley saying, it's all facts. It's what happened this weekend. There's a couple of speculations, but what do you think about that? That sounds odd to me that both houses are being secured and watched by law enforcement. They're watching the number one suspect that they're not naming. Is that so they don't run? I think they're smart enough to think of that.
Properties for several days now. But this morning, one of these private security guards, who I'm told has a law enforcement background, as they often do, was seen walking down the driveway towards the mailbox, Nancy Guthrie's mailbox. And as he's walking down the driveway, he's slapping on like these black latex gloves. He has no insignia on, no gun, no badge, nothing. He's this private security guard, I'm told. And actually, Brian Enton confirmed for me he was a private security guard. And he puts on these black latex gloves and he opens Nancy Guthrie's mailbox and starts emptying the contents into a plastic bag. Closes up the mailbox and takes the plastic bag back with him. Given everything that's been going on, that is not unusual. And quite frankly, you've probably heard several experts in the business of kidnap ransom who say that most of the communications go directly to the family. They like to keep the media and the police out of it typically. The last thing
I'm looking around live, guys, and I just want you to know there's nothing going on outside of the home right now. All the YouTubers have backed up, went to go eat or whatever. There's a few people standing around. They say they might be back later, but everything is just still right now. All right. Have they asked Annie and her husband? I don't know because they're not giving us any information. I mean, guys, we're not blind. Annie is no longer staying with Tomas. Interesting. We're not blind and we see the connection. So I don't know. And you just said that too. Tomas is no longer staying with the family. He's in a hotel. Savannah and her siblings are staying at a rental home, a $1.2 million. Thank you for that. Thank you. Let's keep going. I hope Tommaso doesn't run.
that they usually want is the police to know. In fact, that's often a demand. Say anything to the police and we will do something dire to your loved one, which is another reason why so many people are so suspect of these ransom demands, because they went through not only the media, but the tip lines. Like, who sends a ransom demand to a tip line at a local TV station? That's how they came in, through the web process, right? But this would be something that I would think investigators would do every morning. But this was the first time we'd seen it, or at least we'd witnessed it, that they're collecting the mail from outside of Nancy Guthrie's home. So then additional agents arrived again at Nancy Guthrie's home. And we are in day 8 now, right? A full week has passed where the search was called off 7 days ago. And more agents arrive and are out behind Nancy Guthrie's pool and garden area outside the walls of her back door. That's in a very rugged terrain. Again, cacti, rugged desert. And they're out there again, poking around, just searching around. Don't know why. Don't know what it was that sent them there. But there they were.
And guys, we've been here for almost 3 hours. If you guys would do me a favor, it's absolutely free to hit that like button and then subscribe to my channel if you're new. If you've already been here and you forgot to hit the like button, hit the like button. Even if you just like my new haircut today, I got a haircut for y'all. Hit that like button, even if it's just for that. You don't like the way I talk, you don't like my face, nothing else. At least I got ready for you today. All right, let's keep going. I'm checking everything as we're watching this as well.
And then they left. So,
like, please.
The mystery just sort of continues, especially given the fact that it didn't seem that there was that much need for searching early in the week. And now it seems there's need every day and in 2 different properties. And then, don't get sidetracked by this, but the local reporters sort of had to do a, whiplash, because sheriff's deputies had their lights going and 2 sheriff's vehicles went flying down the road to a neighbor at the end of the cul-de-sac. You could see the neighbor from Nancy's driveway. But these 2 sheriff's deputies with 2 vehicles with their lights, no sirens, pull up to a neighbor's house, park their car, and go knocking on the door, banging on the door. But nobody answers. And then they come back to their cars and they get back into their vehicles, and they're 10 minutes or so. And I think the reporters are all wondering, what on God's green earth is happening now? They get out of their vehicles and they start walking around the left side of the home. And then
And what happened?
all the way around the back of the home. And now it looks like they're searching a neighbor's property out the back, right? So there was a lot of consternation and a lot of confusion, and people started to wonder, is this investigation expanding to neighbors?
That's what I heard. I heard that they had search warrants and there was going to be an arrest this weekend. And in fact, there wasn't. And as a matter of fact, we just missed the deadline again. And everybody's like, man, I'm hungry. I've been following this all day. We've been on pins and needles all day to see if they'd meet the $6 million demand that wasn't even supposed to get out to the public. We weren't supposed to know about that. But they keep sending it to news stations. So how could it not get out there? I guess that's what news does. We report on stuff, right? I'm not the news, but you know what I'm saying.
Now, I can tell you this. It has already expanded to neighbors. They've been asking questions of every neighbor. They've been asking for ring cam. They've been asking, what did you see? Don't think for a minute that just about every neighbor hasn't had a knock at their door to ask what they know. Have you seen anyone in the neighborhood recently? Has there been unusual activity? Any weird vehicles? There's some report that someone saw a white van at some point, but that doesn't seem to be going anywhere at this point. And then an MSNBC reporter later was able to actually get the sheriff's deputies to answer him and clarify what they were doing there. And it turns out that this was a response to a trespassing complaint. I don't know if it was a trespassing complaint with press or whether it was unrelated, but it is not something that is a concern at this point, and that seemed to sort of come and go. And that was just a lot of activity that took everyone's attention away from.
And a lot of activity that were at the the son-in-law and daughter of Nancy Guthrie, which is interesting because while we're listening to this, I'm reading an article about the personal life of Annie Guthrie and her marriage to Tommaso. And yeah, they've been married since 2006, nearly 2 decades. All right. And listen, they just bought a $650,000 house. Annie's a published poet and a jewelry designer, and Tommaso is a science teacher, and he has creative artistic pursuits. All right. Their meeting story remains private. How Annie described her husband in 2013 interview. Annie called Tommaso her greatest teacher and praised him as being a great manifester. He writes poetry with his lifestyle. All right. The Sione Guthrie household, located about 10 minutes from their mom, they just purchased a house. Their home valued at approximately $650,000 places them comfortably within Tucson's upper middle class. They have 1 child together, and they've maintained a strict privacy regarding the child's name, age, and details, right? Because their sister's high profile, their mom. As husband of Annie Guthrie, Tommaso became part of the extended family. However, the family maintained a geographic distance while Annie and Tommaso built their life around their mother. Savannah was mostly in New York City. All right. Tommaso's relationship with his mother-in-law, Nancy Guthrie, became critically important in February of 2026. According to Pima County Sheriff, Tommaso was the last person, and the way they name this, guys, Tommaso was the last person to see Nancy alive, dropping her off allegedly at her home around 9:45 on Saturday, January 31st, 2026, after the family had dinner together. He reportedly ensured that she made it safely inside before he took off. All right. So there's some discrepancies in the timeline. On February 1st, Tommaso's life, it says, transformed from private to national news subject when his mother-in-law, Nancy, was reported missing. The case rapidly evolved, and who we're looking at now, Ashley Banfield, put a report out that he was the number 1 suspect police were looking at because he was the last person to see her alive. On February 1st, Nancy failed to appear for church, even though she never went. And all they say is that the family discovered her missing. Her vehicle and her cell phone remained at home. They don't tell us who called 911 and how that began. All we know is on February 3rd, Ashley Banfield reported Thomas Sione as the prime suspect. And ever since then, and that fake new ransom hoax thing. Annie Guthrie's car was impounded by police with some connection to Tommaso. All the cameras at Nancy's house, it says, were smashed, suggesting deliberate destruction of surveillance. Blood evidence was found at the crime scene, later confirmed to be Nancy's. Signs of forced entry indicated Nancy was taken against her will, and alleged ransom note demanding Bitcoin was sent to media outlets. And then after that, we know what happened, right? The officials came out. We got the response February 4th. We have not identified a suspect or person of interest in the case. We're not confirming that the car is being seized, and we're unsure where the reporter, Ashley Banfield, is getting the information. All right, let's continue.
For a short minute. But I will say this, as busy as this day seemed, right, with the probing of the underground tank, septic or water or otherwise, in the backyard at Nancy Guthrie's house, and the activity the night before at Annie Guthrie's house with the photographs in the darkness of night and the agents and the evidence bag and the blue, latex glove, etc. Today did seem to be quieter and less activity. But the sheriff said again, no more news conferences today and nothing until it's warranted, and reiterated that they have identified no suspects, no persons of interest, nor any vehicles of interest. The key word being identified. They have not identified. That means they haven't told.
Well, and this is why this is why I called my episode what I did today, guys. I have never discussed red herrings in a case, but exactly what you see on the screen. World Supermom says the moronic sheriff has given contradicting info at every turn of the investigation. So annoying. It's one thing to withhold, but to flat out retract or change. He said WTF. And that's exactly why I said, is Nancy Guthrie alive? Ransom notes, family links, and the red herrings in this case. There's a lot of them, guys. And I'm trying to figure out what it is that they're hiding or why they're telling us what they're telling us. So quite a bit.
Us. And we know that. They haven't told us publicly. What they're doing in private could be something entirely different, because that is the way law enforcement operates. They don't share everything with us publicly. That's usually the fact, right? That doesn't mean that there's not a lot going on behind the scenes. And of course, we've already learned from the Chevron and the Circle K that the FBI actually was there asking about surveillance video about vehicles. So there are vehicles they're interested in. And no one's been ruled out as a suspect, as they'll say publicly. So it is just fascinating the way in which this continues to drip. The investigation showing up, leaving, showing up and leaving. Who knows if we'll get something soon? I mean, with the president telling us that there was something, that was almost definitive resolution, all those things, that was Friday night. And I thought maybe this weekend we would learn something. I don't know. Look, I don't know what it means. I don't know whether they're at loggerheads. I don't know whether they are getting their ducks in a row. I do know this. They don't share everything with you, and they don't share everything with me. And sometimes when law enforcement does share, they don't always share exactly what's going on. And sometimes they share a red herring. That is their.
And everybody, feel free to, Shakira, if you want to ask a question, go ahead and type it in there, girl. I'll try to catch your comments as much as I can. We have almost 1,500 people in chat. We got Quackadoodle. The people that run Bitcoin actually sent out their hit team to go collect money off of this very wealthy woman once they found out who she was. Yeah, interesting. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. All right, let's continue.
Prerogative. That is their business. Do not slight them for it. I've seen people taking the boots to the sheriff. It is unfair. Don't do that. It's a hard job. And this is a community that doesn't see this kind of crime a lot. So let's get back to this story about how the whole sordid tale of Nancy Guthrie's abduction began. The story that came to us was that somebody from church reported that Mrs. Guthrie had not shown.
Somebody reported from church, which couldn't even have happened. All right. Because that's not true. We now know it's not true. And NLCRME, thank you so much. That's quite the compliment. You have a fantastic stream and an amazing chat community. I finally found my people. Prayers for Nancy. My name is Nancy too. Well, Nancy, good to meet you. Thank you so much, and keep coming back. We do have an awesome crew here, and we appreciate every single person. Even the trolls, we're good. We're good with the trolls. They're funny. Trolls make me laugh.
Not for church, and that they'd alerted the family done the wellness check. But then we come to learn through other sources that reportedly she hadn't gone to church since the pandemic, and that she live streamed the church services. And then there was other reporting that the church said this is not a two-way live stream. It's not like a Zoom call where, you know someone's.
So there it is. It's not a two-way live stream. So if she missed the church group live stream, they wouldn't have known that because it was like I said. So Jay Sanders, right now, unless you're typing in my chat, I can't tell you if you're here or not. I don't know I wouldn't know if Lisa was here if she didn't say trolls be trolls and they need rolls. I can't see you guys unless you comment. So that's what we're saying. There's no way for them to have known that. That's what Ashley's saying too. It was a one-way stream like we're doing here. I don't know who's watching me right now.
On the Zoom call, they know you are, and you can talk back and forth. A live stream is something you just take in like a Netflix movie, and that they would not necessarily know that someone's live streaming, that there would be no alert that maybe Mrs. Guthrie wasn't on the church live stream. And, to that point, I had a very good conversation with Megan Kelly about this and just how unusual that whole Sunday morning piece was when this all began. Have a look.
The timeline was changed dramatically on Sunday morning. What this sheriff had been saying to us before was that at 11 o'clock or just after 11 a.m. on Sunday morning, the family was notified by a friend in the church who noticed Nancy didn't attend, and they went over to her house. And about an hour later, they called 911.
That's what I'm trying to tell you guys. All they keep saying is they. That's it. They're not telling they. We don't know who they is, but we do know that it's not a two-way stream. So it seems like a lot of lies are already happening. All right. Braddy, member for 2 months. What's up? Thank you. Appreciate you.
That was the story this
That created a lot of consternation.
Then we got to the and many people said, why did it take an hour? How do you, like, especially seeing blood outside of the house, like Brian Engen got on camera, who would take an hour? Now, then last night or yesterday at the presser, that totally shifted. He said they got to the house and discovered she was missing at 11:57 a.m. So we've lost a whole hour now, the controversial hour, and called law enforcement 5 minutes later at 12:03.
Yeah, I think it was 7 minutes later.
Sorry. My math is
by
off.
the way,
My math is off. Okay.
7 is lightning fast.
That's fast. Okay, so it's a dramatic difference. But here, let's just listen. Here's what he had said prior to yesterday. This was the story, SOD 18.
Sometime earlier that morning, they got a call from somebody at the church who said, hey, your mom's not here. The family.
This is a stark difference. Again, is this part of their red herring? That didn't happen. Why is he saying this, and who told them that?
And we went to the house. I'm thinking they spent some time looking for her themselves before they called us. So I'm guessing maybe they got there around 11. So they did some searching and realized we need some help, and they called 911. She was dropped off at 9:30, and she was found to be missing at about 11 o'clock Sunday morning. I know that when we got there, the family was already there, and they'd already spent some time looking, as you would expect. Probably we got an hour delay there from them. Not anything intentional, just that, they went and looked and made some calls, and then they decided we better call 911. And at 11:56 a.m., the family checks on Nancy.
Yeah.
And discovers her missing. And at 12.
Listen, when you're running a press conference, you don't interpret information. You know what it is. You don't say somebody from church called it and said she was missing. So that's cool. That's all good if he interpreted it that way, but that's not his job to interpret it. Yes, Gaxley. Yes, just lie. You don't interpret it. It's not my job to interpret. If I was heading a press conference, I'm not going to tell you any of my thoughts, ideas, feelings, or interpretations. All I'm going to tell you is the plain out facts. Jane Doe called in at 9:03. John Doe called and said she wasn't there. Da. But no, that's not the case. You don't interpret facts when you're the sheriff, right? Or whatever. That's just not how it rolls. Nancy, exactly. So if he's interpreting this, they need to get rid of this dude.
3
in my opinion.
911 is called in to the Pima County Sheriff's Department.
What? Because just to underscore it here, first they got a call from a friend at the church around 11:10. Then he says it was at about 11. Then he told you, that middle clip is on your show. He says they found out about 11 and it was about an hour delay before they called 911. Now, yesterday, he says they checked on Nancy and discovered her missing at 11:57, right? Is it, I keep
11:57. No, that's the right number. That's the right number.
Yeah, 57. So
maybe he was just thinking about who was going to win Super Bowl Sunday. Or maybe he was thinking about the basketball tickets he won. Like, what? It doesn't make sense. This is a huge case for you to be interpreting. And Nina Drew, thank you so much for the $1.49 super sticker and the other ones previously. I do appreciate you. Ah, I can't not laugh because otherwise I just want to be pissed.
So what do you mean? Because we've also, in the midst of all that, had both the Daily Mail and Brian Enton yesterday told us as well, reporting that Nancy Guthrie wasn't going to church physically anymore and hadn't been since the COVID pandemic, that she'd been joining the live stream the church offers and participating from her home. Moreover, the Daily Mail reports it wasn't a Zoom situation where the congregants could see who was joining virtually. It was just a live stream being blasted out by the church, outgoing only. And therefore, no one would be aware of whether Nancy was participating or not. So how do we go from she talked to a friend who was concerned at the church, which you heard him say on camera there, and they took him an hour and then they called 911, to now it's they checked on Nancy and discovered her missing and within moments called 911.
Yeah, I think these are all things that lead to an even bigger mystery and a little confusion. I always give law enforcement grace when there's so much going on and there's an exigent circumstance, and now all these ransom notes, which have taken law enforcement's direction elsewhere. Let's be honest, this is awful. These ransom notes, especially the one in California, if this guy is guilty of this, it has taken their attention away. But it's a, fog of war is not easy. I can understand how there'd be communication breakdown. There's other agencies coming in, sharing of information, maybe telephone, the game of telephone makes mistakes. But I do think that it adds to another element of confusion about this.
I think you're being too nice in this situation. With all due respect to the sheriff, you know as well as I do, the time she was discovered missing is very important.
It's critical.
It's not fog of war. It is not fog of war. That you know.
Yeah, it shouldn't be. Maybe the dissemination of it was, though. As the only.
Yeah, I mean, make this make sense. Now, guys, if you guys want to go back and see anything Nancy Guthrie, the best thing to do is just go directly to her Instagram. Instagram.com/Savannah Guthrie, and everything that she's put out, even if it's made it to Facebook or Twitter or X, blah, 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 that's where you want to find it. Go to Savannah Guthrie. I never want to make you guys search. I want to tell you, go look for yourselves. And then when we come back on together, I'll explain things. But if you look at my description also, you'll see everything that I am doing today. So yeah, I'm always transparent with the information. I want you guys to go out and look too. Robert Little, I predicted an arrest by today, and I was wrong. So I really do hope that there's an arrest and they bring Nancy Guthrie home. Either way, I mean, I hope she's alive, but I don't think she is, guys. Prayers for her and the family. They're all victims, grandchildren, nieces, nephews, cousins, uncles, and anybody that loses a person is a victim.
Grace I give is that it is a complicated task that they're undergoing, and we don't make it
Nobody
easier.
asked about it. Somebody in that room needed to say, you've adjusted the timeline dramatically, Sheriff. Why?
Yeah, no, there was lots that I wish they'd followed up on the car being towed and being processed by warrant. I mean, where was that? Hold it.
You and I are going to have to fly out there for the next one. Literally, I think you and I are going to have to fly out there together for the next one. That's at least 4 questions, 2 for you and 2 for me. Yeah, seriously. I was very frustrated because it was like, that's an obvious one. Ask that. And the one about the...
That's it. I'm turning this off. Did she just laugh? Is Megan Kelly smiling? Is Ashley Banfield laughing while we're doing this stream? I'm appalled. Just kidding. Yeah. Mom's channel too in Texas. We don't call that interpretation. We call that dumbass station. Thank you, Ryan the Game. I appreciate you. I got Osane laughing. I don't know, but if he better get one. Real person. I like Megan, man. I'll slow him down a little bit, but that's it. I'm done following them. I cannot believe that we can't have humor and true crime. We can't laugh about some BS. Come on. That's it. I'm unsubscribing. And I'm going to write them an email and tell them that I'm unsubscribing because they smiled. Damn them. I'll slow it down.
Car was the other one. Like he just sort of elided around it. It was like, yeah, car, standard search warrant, court orders,
the house,
crime scene.
not which house.
Wait.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I know.
Nancy's house is the crime scene. Was it towed from Nancy's house or was it towed from Annie's house, Sheriff?
I haven't gotten to the bottom of that yet. There may be a very good reason. Let's just say, for instance, she live streamed with a friend.
There could be a very good reason. I am too, Bear. It's good to see you. I'm glad to see you in chat. I see you in other chats, and I don't really like to talk in other people's chats during true crime because then they think I'm trying to sub poach which I don't need to sub poach, man. I just go on. You guys come or you don't. But it's good to see you, I am too, Bear. All right. We're almost done. We've made it over 3 hours. No ransom have been paid. There's no breaking news. And I think everyone's eating dinner about now or going to bed.
On speakerphone, and the friend couldn't get through and thought she's not joining me for church on speakerphone. Maybe that's it.
Yeah.
Still trying to get to the bottom of that. But I think one thing we have gotten to the bottom of is that although the sheriff told us multiple stories, it seems that most people are settling on the last thing that the sheriff told the New York Times, and that was that the night before, on Saturday night, her son-in-law was the last person to see her dropping her off. Not the daughter and the son-in-law. It seemed as though that the definitive answer to the New York Times was the son-in-law, even though at the last press conference the sheriff gave us family, we're just going to go with family. So we're sort of still in the same boat, waiting for the next shoe to drop, waiting for the next big investigative piece. I will continue to keep you updated the best I can, but obviously this is a very complicated story. Yep. With a deadline coming Monday, 5 o'clock from these alleged
and
kidnappers
we made it. So
watch the space. We'll see what happens after tomorrow.
Nothing happened. Nobody paid. Nothing's been heard of. But I do want to show you something real quick before I go. And only because I think it's funny. And the person that I pissed off because I smiled, I just want you to see this. It's hecka funny. I don't think she's closing her eyes because she's sleeping, but it's still, I've noticed that Annie's body posture, her breathing, her rapid blinking, she's just been really like, it's just been strange, right? Strange. So look at this. Someone said, let me pull this down real quick. Somebody said, did you notice she's sleepy? I'm sorry, why this made me laugh.
While she was pleading with the kidnapper, while Savannah was crying her eyes out, her sister Annie closed her eyes as if she had fallen asleep. This immediately caught the attention of online sleuths who thought it might indicate Annie was hiding something. Because her husband was the last person to see their mother Nancy, and signs of forced entry were found at the scene. Nancy's pacemaker signal also disappeared, something only family could have done. However, all of this is baseless speculation. First, questioning the last person to see the missing individual is standard procedure, and Savannah was questioned as well. Also, Annie's home is very close to their mother's, and she often took Nancy over for meals, something neighbors all knew. Moreover, investigation shows Nancy was taken while asleep. She could not have opened the door herself. The pacemaker had not actually stopped. It just lost connection because it was too far from the smartwatch. So more people believe the entire video was filmed according to police instructions. Annie wasn't required to speak, so staying silent was reasonable. She may also have been unable to sleep for days due to worry. Mentally, did you notice that Savannah Guthrie...
That just made me laugh. And I have to go out with the laugh because otherwise I'm going to go to bed and be all night looking at my damn phone, trying to find out what happened. And I have to sleep so I can work tomorrow and then come back here and do whatever we do here, all the true crime. So that being said, guys, thank you so much. We still have 1,314 people in here. There's no baseless speculation here. I hope we're not baselessly speculating here. And I don't know why they made her take it over. It's interesting, but I think it's all going to come out. Yeah, making you guys laugh. We're good. But in all seriousness, Nancy Guthrie's still missing. The ransom note, nothing's been paid. Nobody's reached out to law enforcement or the media. Carly says, no matter how much I can't stand my mother, I could never, ever hurt her. I can't wrap my head around it. Me either. Yeah, Nancy had a cell phone, but she left it out. They left it at home. She didn't take her cell phone, her watch, her car was there. I know, I did. Nelly Cat, I've watched all of those videos. She's nervous breathing, blinking fast, so many things. I can't even. Jenna Bug, yes. All right, guys. Rocco, mwah, appreciate you. And yeah, we're just speculating. We're discussing possibilities based on factual information. Take it with a grain of salt or don't take it at all and just click off. All right, guys. Love you. Let's say a prayer that Nancy Guthrie is brought home in whatever way possible. And that we learn sooner than later what happened for everybody's sake. All right. Mwah. Love you guys. Thank you all. Make sure I did not miss anybody, anything, and I didn't. And I'm out. Thank you. Peace. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Same time, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 7 p.m. Eastern. If breaking news comes along, you'll probably see my ugly mug pop on and say, breaking news! Whatever that may be. All right, love you guys. Have a good night. Like, subscribe, and share. Good night.
Guilty of crime.
I want to thank you for watching. If you enjoyed my content, please share this video, like, and subscribe. You can also follow me over at Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, or Gmail. If you'd like to donate to my channel, you can use Cash App or Venmo or PayPal. Thank you very much in advance. Guilty of crime.
Are you guilty of crime?